From a thriller in Watkins Glen to an exciting night here in the Gateway to the West, NBC Sports welcomes you to Worldwide Technology Raceway here in St. Louis to the NTT IndyCar Series, where it's a championship that is so close, so tight. It is all to play for with the final 3 races of the season, and this is the last oval of the season. Welcome, folks. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe, Kevin Lee and Dylan Welsh, and there are the points, guys. It is tight.
Oh yeah, you're going to want to watch these top 5 drivers, 2 Penske, 3 Ganassi drivers in the mix. It's the tightest we've ever had, James.
And what's so cool about it is all 7 of the guys within 60 points of the lead qualified in the first 7 spots of the race tonight. All championship contenders at the sharp end of the grid.
Closest championship race in the last 20 years. We could not ask for it to be better. And right now we're going to hit trackside for the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to give the command for the Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Please welcome the president of Bommarito Automotive Group, John Bommarito.
On behalf of the Bommarito Automotive Group and our now 1,000 team members, I want to personally welcome you, race fans, to the fabulous Worldwide Technology Raceway and the millions more watching from home. Buckle up, race fans. You're about to see the greatest show on 4 wheels. And remember, make sure you log on to Bommarito.com, where you can buy, sell, or trade your next vehicle. Drivers, start your engines!
The NTT IndyCar Series has some fabulous promoters, and John Bommarito most certainly is one. His passion and enthusiasm for this event and this sport is much appreciated. So as the engines fire for the 26 cars that will race for 260 laps here this evening, we're going to take you to the starting grid, and we need to make a special point. You see Will Power up there on the pole position. That is a record equaling 67th career pole. Who is he equal with at the top of the order? The legend, Mario Andretti. It was a thrilling qualifying yesterday.
Oh, they put it all on the line to start up front, and like James, you mentioned, so many of the championship contenders will be in those first 3 rows. I'm watching number 9, Scott Dixon, going after his 7th IndyCar championship. He'll start next to his teammate, last year's champion, Alex Palou.
Yeah, all Penske and Ganassi in the top 6. Then you go back to Pato O'Ward. You see 2 Andretti Autosport teammates on the 5th row. Devlin DiFrancesco leading the squad with his best qualifying effort of the year.
That was an outstanding qualifying effort because Devlin DiFrancesco was one of the earlier ones to go out. Jack Harvey has proven to be the best Team RLL qualifier on the ovals for the 3rd oval in a row.
Yeah, nice job for the number 45 driver, but Kyle Kirkwood, the rookie, he's had 7 DNFs this season, but he's been exciting in just about every race. At Texas, he went high and got aggressive early. A lot of fireworks there, along with Jimmy Johnson. He's coming off his best oval race at Iowa.
Couple of things to mention there. Romain Grosjean did qualify in the top 10, but has a 9 grid spot penalty for an unapproved engine change. And Felix Rosenquist, who starts on the last row, spun, didn't crash, spun in qualifying. So that was an unfortunate incident for him. You might be asking yourself, if you've never watched this race before, why are they 3 wide and not 2? Well, that's a salute for the fans to the Indianapolis 500 and the sport of IndyCar racing, and it's become a tradition, Hinch, and you've been a part of it here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Very cool.
It is very cool. It's nice to kind of pay homage to the Indy 500 just up the road. A lot of Indianapolis fans here in the stands tonight, and I know it's a nice moment for the drivers to enjoy before the action gets hot and heavy on the racetrack.
They'll go back to 2 wide here in a second, but you can promise there'll be 3 wide action as soon as the green flag starts. So they'll have some good practice here getting their sight lines.
It is a warm evening here in St. Louis. It's just under 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty humid, so the 26 drivers are going to be working hard for this on the final oval of the year on this 1.25 mile track.
And it is a very physical racetrack. The G-forces through the corners, because especially through 3 and 4 Townsend, it's not as banked, so not as much of the force is vertical pushing down on the driver. It's a lot of lateral load pushing you into the side of the seat, banging your elbows off the cockpit. So this is a very, very tough racetrack for these drivers.
It is, and Diff, you and I debate all the time here at Gateway. Do you want to be aggressive or do you want to be a little more conservative? And I think the key tonight is be aggressive with the racetrack and be measured with your passes, be calculating, but with the track, you have to drive this place 10/10ths all the time, or else you're just going to get smoked. It's that tough.
All right, so let's go to the Honda track preview, and there's not a whole lot of it. It's only 1.25 miles, but it is challenging, and the challenge is hinged to get them to run multiple grooves and multiple lines.
Exactly right. We saw this in Texas. There was a session yesterday where drivers were given an extra set of tires to run up in that second groove. We see 9 cars took to the track. They painted a line on there through both 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 to try and get cars to run up there, lay down a bit of rubber, and encourage that groove to open up for the racing.
That groove's rubbered in, Diff, but I think the key is someone has to clean it early. Someone has to run up there early and keep the, I'm going to call it pyrotechnic dust off the high line as the fireballs are bigger than we've ever seen off the back straightaway here. I'm going to guess that was planned.
It was planned, but I'll tell you, the first time we came here, they didn't really mention that that was going to happen, and it was quite shocking driving down the back straight, thinking something else was going wrong.
And just like the 3-wide salute to the Indy 500, that pyro display has become part of the tradition here for this Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Again, just 3 races left in this championship. In 2 weeks' time, it's Portland International Raceway, immediately followed by WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. 3 very different tracks to finish this season off, and the championship hasn't been tighter in the last 20 years. 7 drivers still in the hunt. All right, let's say good evening to our guys on pit road. We start with Dylan Welsh. Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Lee. So Scott Dixon's arguably the hottest driver in the NTT IndyCar Series right now on the strength of 2 wins and no finish worse than 8th in the last 5 races. He comes into St. Louis tonight trailing Will Power by just 6 points. So the mentality for the 9 team hasn't changed since the start of this year. The goal is just to treat each race as an individual event. The results are going to take care of themselves. So in 14 races this year, he's had top 10s in all of them but 1. So that consistency and undeterred motivation to win another championship has Dixon right where he wants Will Power ahead of the last 3 races of the year, Kevin Lee.
Dylan, Will Power moved very quickly past that emotional record-tying pole yesterday, which has been on his mind for a few years, but he's thinking championship now. And that pole gave him now a 7-point advantage in the championship. And I'm not sure many people thought this was still possible for the 41-year-old. He hasn't really contended for the last couple of years, but he said he always knew it was a possibility. The pace was there, and he's in the best mental state of his career. He is thinking about getting a win tonight, taking another step towards championship 2.
Spoke to him this morning when he had a mouthful of food, and he said, it really means a lot to me. He said, I'm a long way from Toowoomba, Queensland, Australia. I can't even believe that I have drawn level with the legend Mario Andretti, but I'm not going to take my foot off the gas. I'm going to get that pole record. And if you look at the numbers of how quickly Will achieve those 67 poles, there is no question he is the king of qualifying in the history of IndyCar.
Absolutely. The pace has been ferocious as you see the starting positions for tonight's championship contenders. Power up front, and Hinch, I love the way Power got pole. He tried going wide open through 3 and 4, almost got away from him as they grid up for the final time here before going to green.
So you've got a guy on the left-hand side of your screen in Marcus Ericsson who led this championship for 5 rounds in succession. The guy on the right-hand side of your screen, the pole winner, is the championship leader. He's led for the last 2 races in a row. Power has his eyes on another championship. He's kind of like reinvented himself this year. Let's see what he can do here with the top 7 in points, the top 7 on this starting grid for the Bommarito Automotive Group 500. It's only a short track, but it's action-packed. Here we go in St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Contact at the back already as the leaders try to filter into turn 1. Will Power's going to be on the point side by side a few rows back, but a little contact with the wall, I think, for maybe Rita's BK.
Teammates running together, McLaughlin and Newgarden, Dixon and Palou. The bright yellow car is Devlin DiFrancesco. Here's Sato in the purple and white machine on the inside of Pato Award.
Pato Award working the high side through turn 4. Looks like he has great grip up there. He's had great finishes here in St. Louis previously. Award on the charge going after Scott Dixon in that blue and orange PNC car.
Palou is going backwards though in that American Legion Honda, the white and blue machine. There he is right there behind Takuma Sato.
And look at the side-by-side with Alexander Rossi and David Malukas. Rossi was one of those 9 cars in the second lane practice, and in front of him his teammate Devlin DiFrancesco working up top in 3 and 4.
Palou forcing the young rookie from Canada to run that second groove. Here's Award in the orange and black machine on the inside of Dixon.
Nice move into turn 1. You're beyond the brake pedal a little bit there, down from about 190 miles an hour to mid 140s in turn 1 as Pato Award flexing his muscles there. I'm surprised that Dixon wasn't a little bit more aggressive in defending this early. Here comes Kirkwood and Romain Grosjean in the blue and white Napa car for this race. Grosjean going forward. That's Graham Rahal running a new livery, the all-green car.
Yeah, the number 28 with Grosjean qualified in 8th position, but had to drop back 9 spots due to an engine penalty. He is really on the move.
Look, you guys said it earlier. If we see enough drivers up in that second groove, like Grosjean is now, that's going to bode well for later in the race.
Watch Grosjean here. He got back to power really well. Great exit. He's in the draft as he looked to fire it up the inside.
You know he does. He's going to get on the brakes here. You see the rotors glowing. You never see that on an oval. Graham trying to hold it on the outside. Can't do it. But guys, let's take a little bit further look back. In 13th place, Felix Rosenqvist.
Oh my goodness.
Started 26th. He is already up 13 spots.
The Mission Foods onboard shows us the Swedish driver. He was fast in practice, but spun the car.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're doing is the call from the spotter. You bet, Dylan.
And so Billy Vincent, the strategist, his message was pretty simple. He told Felix, send it. That's what he did. He went to that outside lane all by himself, passed 11 cars in those first 2 laps, and that's what they had to do. They had to maybe not get that many cars, but they knew they were going to have to get some early. They got a lot early, and that's put them in a much better spot for later on in this race.
Boy, what reward for his crew who worked very late into the night. He had a fuel cell issue yesterday that prohibited him from running the full final practice session, but Rosenqvist has been the man on a charge.
Let's figure out how he did it with an amazing jump, James, at the start. He doesn't get much better than that. He got about 7 cars at start-finish.
Yeah, I think it's at least 6 before he even got to the line, and look at him hanging it out 3 wide. He again was one of the cars that did do that high line practice. Huge momentum off of 2, just carries him the whole way down the back straightaway.
Haven't seen moves like this since Thomas Scheckter.
Yeah, this is very Thomas Scheckter, very TK reminiscent, but I mean, half the damage from qualifying undone in the first 10 laps, guys. That's a great start for this driver.
And the risk there, Diff, is the jump. He timed it just perfectly, and if you are 1/100th of a second too early, it's a penalty, and your race is all but ruined.
By
so
far,
Everybody else is starting to do the same thing here.
by far the biggest mover of the race, up 13 positions. The next best is Callum Eilert, up 5 from his starting position. Will Power in the Verizon 5G Chevy has almost a full second over Marcus Ericsson. Then Scott McLaughlin third, Joseph Newgarden, Pato O'Ward.
When the cars are on the front straight, you can see the shadows that are coming off and over the car. The sun is still setting, so as Will Power and the drivers head into turn 3 here, they're going to look straight into the sun. It's not quite set. It hits you right in the middle of the corner, blinds you for a second there. That's something that the drivers are going to have to contend with for probably the next 15-20 minutes. Lee, we were trying to pay attention in practice yesterday to see when it went behind the grandstands, but it affects the track surface temperature at different parts of the track. If it's in the sun, obviously it's going to be hotter. The car's going to handle different in 1 and 2 than 3 and 4 based on the track temperature. So a little bit of little couple different things the drivers are going to have to navigate through these first stints until it all calms down.
With thanks to NTT, there's a 3-lap predicted intercept for Felix Rosenqvist to catch the next man up the road. We'll see, as he is on a mission. What a start.
He's settling in now. You can hear a big coast phase there as Rosenqvist is going to be working the fuel mileage. With the potential of weather coming, you're going to want to stretch this first stint, I think, as long as possible.
The other benefit to that, Townsend, is with the lap being so short here, the longer you can stay out, you risk trapping drivers a lap down if a caution does come out during that pit cycle. So if I'm Felix Rosenqvist and I'm Billy Vincent, I'm thinking, okay, we made hay at the beginning when the tires were fresh. Now let's take care of these Firestones. Let's go as long and far into this stint as we can, try to get as many people to dive off in front of us, and hope that at some point there a caution falls and we can gain a lot of track position that way.
There was a pretty heavy shower here at 1 o'clock local time this afternoon. As expected weather later on this evening, and if we can get to lap 130 halfway, this race can be called official. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by iPacket, official vehicle marketplace of Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. Drive the truth. iPacket. Honda, an official vehicle of the NTT IndyCar Series. and by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT IndyCar Series. 20 laps into this Bommarito Automotive Group 500. And so far so good as far as the weather, so far so good for Will Power and for the race. We've gone caution free, which is kind of in contrast to last year when there was a very early caution, but it's smooth sailing up front for the championship leader, who is fast catching the back of the pack.
That's the key here, fast catching the last driver on the lead lap, last driver in the race right now, which is Jimmy Johnson. A little surprised to see Jimmy running all the way back in last place, James, after the performances he put on earlier this year on the ovals at Texas and Iowa. Jimmy Johnson was so aggressive at Iowa, another short oval, running the high groove and making it work, but not so far here in St. Louis. So Power's going to come up, and it'll be interesting to listen to see if we hear any radio from Will Power and the number 12 team about asking race control to try to move the 48 out of the way, or what they encourage him to do. Usually what happens in this situation is that the leader just tries to maintain the gap to second place and manages that air bubble behind him to Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to get too close up to the back of the 48 and run in that dirty air, run your tires ragged if you don't think you can pass him. But it's not like they're going to send a message down to Chip Ganassi Racing and say, oh, hey, can you please move that car out of the way? I know that your other car is second in the championship behind us, but if you could do us that solid, that'd be great.
That long pause is the response from Chip Ganassi Racing.
Yeah, correct. Crickets.
Here's Kevin Lee. What you got, Kev?
Let's check in on Joseph Newgarden coming in. He had to be considered by most people the favorite. Last year's winner, the only driver that's won multiple times here, 4-time winner at Iowa, including this year. So, one of the championship contenders. Let's hear his radio communication and how the car is so far.
Like we're leaning on the right rear there. Just keep adjusting.
It feels that way. I'm not sure why. Real understeer to start on like this bar up front, but feels like it's going to go loose.
Feels like it's going to go loose, so keep an eye on that as we get just shy of halfway through this first stint. That was Tim Cindric, you see, communicating with Joseph Newgarden.
One of the controversial points at the end of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix in Nashville 2 weeks ago was the collision between this man, Joseph Newgarden, and Romain Grosjean in one of those frantic restarts at the end of the race. Spoke to Joseph yesterday. I said, have you and Grosjean spoken since? He said yes via email. He said, Grosjean was pleasant enough, but basically we agree to disagree. And T-Bell, he said, I wouldn't have changed what I did. Joseph said, I don't have this huge rap sheet of dodgy moves. And he said, yes, Romain has his opinion, I have mine. He said, I'd probably do it again if I had my time over.
Well, James, you had your opinion, I had mine. We agreed to disagree there. Race control reviewed it, decided no penalty there. It was aggressive, but within the letter of the law, as race control is calling those races this year. And, you know, I just think it's one of those things where coming down the stretch at Portland and Laguna Seca, 2 more road courses to finish the season, Newgarden's going to have to contend with Grosjean. It is a give-and-take situation in racing, event to event, corner to corner, all season long.
And both of those racetracks, especially Portland Turn 1, there's a lot of opportunity for guys to make some aggressive passing moves and get their elbows out a little bit for, again, against drivers they may have had some issue with so far. But as we look out the back of the Carvana onboard of Jimmy Johnson, the leader has caught the tail end of the pack, and now this is when it's decision time for Will Power. Does he want to start to be aggressive, try to get that buffer in between himself and Marcus Ericsson, or is he going to just try to maintain this gap like you talked about?
I just think Will's going to be watching his mirrors closely, and what's the closing rate look like with Marcus Ericsson. If it looks like Marcus is comfortable to just ride at this early stage in the race, I don't think Will Power is going to be taking any chances.
Rinus VK in the Bitnile Chevy for Ed Carpenter Racing. Let's take you back to the start. This caught your attention, James.
Yeah, we saw it was a beautiful start up front, but there's always a little bit of an accordion effect when the start's that slow. You see Connor Daly have to pop out, and look at Rinus VK. He clips the wall a little bit with the left rear tire. Now, that is never something you want to see on an oval. And when you actually, if we watch him here, you can see on that left rear tire, the white marking of Firestone is gone. So there's for sure contact there. He stayed out, he's running around. He hasn't made up a lot of ground. He's running where he started, but Hopefully there was no damage done to that car, Townsend. You know how even a small tap like that can knock the toe out, the camber, just the smallest amount makes a huge difference to handling on these ovals.
Yeah, hopefully his balance is still all right, but just looking at the Ed Carpenter cars of team owner Ed Carpenter, who's on the track today, running in 25th, VK in 23rd, and then Connor Daly worked his way up to 14th.
So there's new paint schemes for both these guys, Graham Rahal, who we ride with, and Romain Grosjean. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Hinch, what you got?
Well, look, this is going to be a strategy race, Townsend. We've seen no caution so far. The pit sequences are going to be huge. Do you want a do you want a 3-stop it, or do you want a 4-stop it? Here are the numbers powered by NTT. Pretty big windows here, which can definitely lead for some different strategies.
The only reason you're going to stop now is because of a handling imbalance. With the race going all green at the start, we're 34 laps in, you've got to go with strategy 1. It has a higher percentage of winning, of course, but with no yellows right now, if this thing runs green, you're going to want to go 65, 130, 195 finish. So a 3-stop strategy, to me, is the only way to play it.
Guys, by this stage in last year's race here, we had 3 cautions. This is running green, green, green.
Yeah, a bit of push.
Bit of push is the call from Will Power and the Verizon 5G Chevy.
And the other thing is, how dark are those skies going to get? How quickly is moisture going to enter into the equation from a strategic standpoint? In that case, you also want to run as long as you can in the first stint to get 1 stop in, and then if rain comes, you extend that second window as long as you can. You lose about a lap and a half on a green flag pit stop here, so there's a big penalty for coming to pit lane under green flag conditions until you absolutely have to.
Let's put the spotlight on a young driver doing a good job in the top 10. It's the Power Tap Honda from Andretti Autosport of the young Canadian Devlin DeFrancesco. Now, he's had a mixed season in his rookie year this year, but take this into consideration. He qualified in the top 10. He's running 8th now, behind a 2-time Indianapolis 500 winner and ahead of the defending series champion. That's some pretty special air.
It's good company, you know, and after Grosjean's penalty, he was the lead Andretti Autosport car in qualifying, and both Alexander Rossi and Colton Herta have actually lost positions from where they started, fallen down just a little bit. So yeah, it's doing a great job.
So off to a good positive green flag run. We're going to go non-stop here. Be back in a moment to Worldwide Technology Raceway. As you've heard us say many times throughout the IndyCar racing season, simply grab your mobile device and scan the QR code on your screen for a chance to win $25,000 at HighVDeals.com. It's simple. Scan the QR code and register to win. And we say thanks to our friends at Hy-Vee. We ride on board the Hy-Vee Honda. Jack Harvey started in 14th place, runs 15th at the moment, just lost 1 position to Connor Daly, who is up ahead in that Bit Niles Chevy for Ed Carpenter Racing. He's the top of his team. And at the moment, so too is Jack Harvey. Both running well. Now, while we're in the break, and you may have seen in non-stop, Will Power has been able to get by Jimmy Johnson, and now he's working on Ed Carpenter. Here is that replay in the big screen at the top.
Big lunge down the inside of turn 1 on the brakes. Again, the only corner on an oval that an IndyCar brakes at. Will almost went in a bit too hot. Jimmy was coming back. Will slides up the track a bit, nearly contact.
Let's watch off the back here at Jimmy Johnson. I think Power fires it up the inside and kind of exhales like, all right, I'm by now. And then all of a sudden, Jimmy said, not so fast. I want to stay on the lead lap. Jimmy gets way up into the gray right there. I think collected a bit of that tire dust. It took a few corners for him to clean things back off, and now Jimmy Johnson's fallen a lap down to several more cars.
And Townsend, on these short tracks, with everything running so tight, it is so easy. If you just lose 1 position and get out of your groove, get out of your momentum, lose your rhythm, you can just fall like a stone. It's unbelievable how many positions can actually end up coming as a result of just 1 car getting a run on you and taking you offline.
It also just signals weakness to the other lead lap cars, right? They see Jimmy Johnson lift in the corner, slide up wide, and now you get big eyes, you get up in the seat, and you're like, all right, this is my easy chance to get past a lap car. And I think it also has those lead group drivers just try that extra bit harder in that moment.
David Malukas on the right-hand side of your screen, and the Dale Coyne with HMD Motorsport Honda, the rookie, chasing Alexander Rossi. Rossi runs at the moment in 10th place. Dylan, what you got?
Well, guys, Pato O'Ward is another car that has moved up a couple spots along with his teammate Felix Rosenqvist. Here was some Pato radio just a bit ago.
Looks like Newgarden and these guys around here are starting to partially lift. See what kind of fuel number you can get us without losing any time to these guys. Obviously, we want to keep their pace, but just experiment with your lift points.
So talking with Taylor Kyle beforehand, he noted even though we started 7th, we wanted to be a little bit higher up because track position comes at such a premium here. So if they can make up any spots here, whether it's taking advantage of some guys saving fuel, anything they can to get some track position, they want to try and take advantage of it here early.
So Pato Award get by the Alzaman Chevy of Ed Carpenter. This is Ed's final race of the year, of course, continuing his tradition of doing the ovals only.
Yeah, been trying to figure out, Ed struggles a bit this year. He's historically always a contender at a racetrack like this, one of the most experienced oval racers in the field, if not the most experienced, given his short track oval racing upbringing. But it's just been hard for Ed to jump in and be on the pace, it seems like, with a couple of his teammates this year. I don't know if that speaks to the competitiveness of IndyCar these days or what, but Ed, we're going to get a replay here with Will Power to the outside. And then Marcus Ericsson. We'll see how hard Ed defends to stay on the lead lap here.
Look at him squeeze Marcus. I'm not sure knew he was there at first. Marcus trying to stay in the draft. Will Power to make sure he clears the 33, gets it done. But yeah, it was a bit of a tenuous moment there. Now Scott Dixon's going to try and get him a lap down.
He was 13th at Texas Diff, 19th in the Indy 500, 25th at Iowa, 17th at the second Iowa race. So
you see the average there, 18.5. That's not where Ed Carpenter's used to running on this type of racetrack. And I think you're right. I think it does just point to how competitive it is right now to just jump in, you know, with these guys running full season. It's a huge challenge.
And I think also, pit lane. Yeah, this is a sign of struggling with the handling, pitting on lap 53. I think also, Diff, you got to remember that historically Ed was getting into the full-time number 20 car.
Yes.
And Connor Daly would get out. Now it's an additional third part-time team for Ed Carpenter, as 4 Firestones and fuel on pit lane. Kevin, what can you tell us?
I can tell you that Joseph Newgarden is concerned. He, about 3 laps ago, said, it doesn't feel like I'm getting full power. He lost a spot to Pato Ward. He's down 2 from where he started. Tim Cindric said it looks like everything is okay, but it's a real concern for the 2. By the way, leaders we should see pit in about 7 to 9 laps.
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to that initial pit stop window, aren't we? As Rinus VK, we are hearing, is going to get a pit lane speed violation penalty.
Oh, goes from bad to worse for Rinus VK as we watch the Firestone telemetry, and I'm watching for any data here, James, that would suggest that there's an issue for Newgarden. Oftentimes at a track like this, as the corner speeds fall off lower and lower, it feels like you're losing power just because you're not hitting the same terminal velocity because your mid-corner speed is so low. Do you think that's what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. That's definitely a phenomenon that you see at these types of tracks. You feel it from inside the car, and I'm looking at this Firestone telemetry. I don't see anything that's standing out. He's still getting all the gears. He's got enough power to pull into 6th. He's only hitting 2 lights in 6th gear, but yeah, that's probably a function of being down in 4th gear through 3 and 4 rather than 5th gear.
Diff, these are the hardest 10 laps of the day, is these last 10 laps of the tire stint. You're going slower and slower, and it's getting harder and harder. And for a lot of these guys here, Dylan, they just couldn't hang on long enough. They had to come in for tires.
Alexander Rossi is one of those cars. He's just kind of been driving there and doesn't feel like the car's bad, just said it was as fast as I could go. So they'll take 4 Firestone tires and add fuel. Kevin?
Graham Rahal is also coming in. This is a little bit early to be able to do it on 3 stops. They're going to need a caution, a big fuel save. You need to average basically 65 laps per stint to do it on 3 stops.
Oh, here we go. First of the top 10ers along with Alexander Rossi. So out goes Devlin DeFrancesco and Jimmy Johnson. Pit lane has been frantic in the recent moments. Scott Dixon at the top of your screen coming in. Dylan Welsh is standing by.
And they're another one they've just kind of maintained here. Was running about the 6th spot, and Scott's only report is that he's got a little bit of understeer behind the wheel of that Chip Ganassi racing car there at the bottom of your screen. Trying to just keep with power today. That's their goal. Just keep him in their sights. If they can do that, they'll have a good day. 4 tires and fuel for Dixon.
And not a good sign for Rinus VK. Top of your screen for Ed Carpenter Racing. This is Callum Eilert of Honko's Hollinger.
Yeah, you saw the download cable going into the 21 of Rinus VK. That normally means there's something terminal in the electronics they're trying to fix. Oh, whoa. Really had to hang on to that.
That was full opposite lock on pit lane. More cars coming in.
Whoa,
there's
big
McLaughlin locking up. Will Power, the leader. Pato Award and Joseph Newgarden.
Newgarden locked up as well coming in. It's so tough, Townsend, getting it stopped with how these cars are set up. Kevin.
Green flag stops, but it feels more like a caution with just about everybody coming in. There's the championship leader, the leader in the race, and he doesn't need any changes. Car has been great in clean air. A little more difficult as you're passing lap traffic. That's a good stop for the Verizon team. Joseph Newgarden is a little bit further up on pit road. He's had some concerns so far. Back out, Dylan.
Marcus Ericsson is in. He's been running from second. Said balance was really good on their race car. They wanted him in around lap 60, and that's where he stopped. Kevin.
So let's see how this works. Let's see how this works on the blend with Ericsson versus Power.
Who pitted earlier too? Scott Dixon has 2 laps of fresher tire where he can make up great ground by undercutting. We've seen that work really well at Gateway in the past. As Alex Collot comes to pit lane, Ericsson's back out. There's Will Power. The question is, where's Dixon, who pitted earlier?
But just think of the gap to Marcus Ericsson. Marcus was only about a second behind. Now he's going to lose 3-4 seconds potentially as we see McLaughlin maybe going by.
Yep, sure did. Scott McLaughlin in that Odyssey battery. Chevrolet for Team Penske was able to leapfrog the Team Ganassi man.
The key to the undercut is always making sure you come out into clear track so that way you can get those fast laps done. That's what Dixon did so well. As he came out of the pits, everyone else was coming in. He had clean racetrack. That worked out well for him. It worked out well for McLaughlin as well.
Meanwhile, the guy that's gone the farthest on this first stint and still hasn't pitted until just now is Romain Grosjean, doing a great job to take care of his tires. That number 28 Napa car coming to Kevin Lee. Kevin, that was a great stint for Grosjean.
And he was able to make the Firestones last. He told me before, I'm going to give the high line a try. He did it earlier. Remember how entertaining he was here last year? That was his very first oval race. As you watch Pato Award getting around Marcus Ericsson on the blend, dealing with traffic. 4 tires change for Grosjean, and a different look this weekend with Napa Auto Parts on the side of the Andretti Autosport car.
That was a nice move from Pato Award as he got around Marcus Ericsson. So Ericsson drops from 2nd to 4th on this initial pit stop cycle.
Now in 3 races in his IndyCar career here, this man, Pato O'Ward on your screen, has never finished off the podium, and he is now back up in podium contention, running in 3rd. Great move from him. Marcus Ericsson hit lap traffic there, and Dalton Kellett had to slow down on the low line. Pato sent it around the outside, had the momentum. Great, great move.
Hinch, I asked him this morning, what are you got to say about today? He said one thing, going forward.
And look at this guy. Jack Harvey's picked up a bunch of spots through that cycle. He's now in 9th ahead of Devlin DiFrancesco.
The only problem for Harvey, though, Hinch, is he pitted on lap 47, so he really short-stinted that first one, but he undercut it. You know, he got on fresh rubber, got the lap times going, but now he's in a bit of a box because he really would struggle to make it on 2 more stops.
Guys, not good news for Callum Eilert at Juncos Hollinger as Rosenquist goes up the inside of Graham Rahal. Remember when he really lit it up on the pit stop and when he exit? Actually, it wasn't an exit, it was on entry. He hit a crew member. Watch this.
Oh,
boom.
yeah.
That's going to be a stop and hold penalty.
They take safety in pit lane very seriously here in the IndyCar Series for obvious reasons. It's an automatic penalty if you touch a crew member. So unfortunately, not only was it a slow stop, looks like everybody is okay, but here's the hold for the Juncos Hollinger racing driver.
And there is that 30-second stop and hold. Unfortunate for Callum Eilert. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Hy-Vee, proud sponsor of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Hy-Vee, making lives easier, healthier, and happier. And although he's slightly off sequence, the Hy-Vee racer, Jack Harvey, would be pretty happy right now. He's up in the top 10 in 9th, but there's a big disparity on how early he stopped compared to the guys who are at the head of this field. Speaking of the head of this field, it's Will Power and his Team Penske teammate Scott McLaughlin, 1 and 2, with just over half a second between them. And it was a good stop from the Thirsty Threes, who got McLaughlin out there. He was able to leapfrog Marcus Ericsson before O'Ward got by, and here is the pit stop differential.
Here's how he did it. You look at the in-lap from Scott McLaughlin, a second faster than the 8 of Marcus Ericsson. Time on pit lane, time on pit box, almost the same, only a few tenths between them. Same on the out-lap, so that's about a second in the good to Scott McLaughlin because of that big in-lap. That allowed him to jump the 8 and get himself up into the top 2.
That with thanks, it was powered by NTT. But T-Bell, how about this? Talking with Scotty McLaughlin this morning, I said, hey, in a nutshell, can you identify, for someone with no oval experience, what has made you so good and why do you like the ovals? You got your first podium at Texas last year, you've podiumed twice this year on the ovals, and he said, Diff, to be honest, iRacing. And he said, I did a lot of oval iRacing long before I came to America. I just found it interesting, and he said it got me kind of in the mode and in the groove.
iRacing plus Rick Mears.
Yeah.
I would say that's the magic combination.
The other point that he made was that he came here as a blank sheet of paper for oval racing.
No bad habits.
No bad habits that you get in road and street tracks like he would have had out in a supercar. He had to untrain himself. He came here a completely clean slate, and he was able to just absorb the information from his 2 very experienced teammates. Now, Kevin Lee's got an update on the 21. What do you know, Kev?
Well, unfortunately, it's not a good update because Rinus VeeKay is out of the car. What happened, Rinus?
Well, like really at the beginning of the race, did a few laps and then the whole dash froze electronically. So I couldn't see the shift. I couldn't hear the tone, so I was really doing it on feeling. Couldn't see the adjustments on the weight checker. So yeah, and the pit limiter did not work. So I came into pit lane and I had no clue how fast I was going. So we tried to do a power cycle to fix it, but the car wouldn't go into neutral either. So trying some stuff to hopefully finish the race and get some laps in and hopefully get a few points. But no, this is a bummer. It's electronics. Nobody can do anything about it. This team has been reliable. Like the reliability of this team has been amazing. So nothing they can do about it. Hopefully it's fixed soon.
Real quick, I'm going to show you the start of the race again. Tell us what you had to avoid. It looked like you slapped the inside wall.
Yeah, so I'm seeing it from the outside now, but I heard green, so I thought I want to pass guys in front of me because I had a bit of a run, but I had to get out of there, and I got a big wheel spin. So luckily, well, I touched the wall, but nothing damaged. So tried to get a few positions there, but I had to get out of it. But it doesn't matter at the end anyway.
Thanks, Rinus.
Tough day, and the young Dutch driver had aspirations, and it's still possible, but he had aspirations of finishing in the top 10 because he came into this 15th round 11th in the championship points. He's got 2 races left to try and achieve that goal.
So now we settle in to some tire management in this point in the race as Will Power, Scott McLaughlin, you could hear in the onboards, James, the big lift. They're managing not only fuel range, but also tire wear. You really don't want to be running up tight in dirty air if you're trying to manage your tires because you're eliminating downforce by running that close. You're putting a lot of the expectation of the car on the tires at that point in the mechanical grip, and that can really work the Firestones pretty heavily. On board here with McLaughlin, just watch the Firestone telemetry and specifically throttle position into turn 1.
For me, it's more brake position into turn 1. He's always barely touching the brake. He's really saving fuel, really taking care of the car right now.
It's because he's lifting it like start-finish, just a huge coast phase. And if you're driving it in on the throttle straight to the brake pedal, you're asking a lot, especially from the right front tire. No brake in 3, just a big lift.
It's so tough as a driver to know where that balance is, Townsend. You know you need to lift, you know you need to back it off, but it's so easy to overdo it, expose yourself to the cars behind you. It's so easy to underdo it, drive too hard, and wear out that right front tire or that right rear tire, depending on how your balance is when you get to that last 10 laps of the stint. That, like you said, are the hardest 10 laps of the
just falling off of me because he's doing the same thing a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. It's a little bit of team play there.
Kyle Moyer, the team strategist for Scott McLaughlin. By the way, the man in the red and black car there, the Verizon 5G Chevy, Will Power, is just crushing his championship opponents. This is not going to plan for the others because Power, with that bonus point for pole yesterday, came into the race with a 7-point lead. At the moment, he would be 32 ahead of Scott Dixon. This is the last guy the other championship 6 needed to see in the lead. Kev?
Romain Grosjean may only be in 18th place, but we noted he was the last to make his first stop. Best on fuel savings on lap 62. So let's listen to his radio communication. They might have an advantage.
Those guys fuel saving. Doesn't feel like it. Yeah, 10-4. Like I said, these guys pitted 4 or 5 laps before you did. So you're in the best shape right now. We were the last car to pit. We're doing fine.
Now that said, listening to other teams, everyone is still trying to do it on 2 more stops, but they're talking about some big numbers. So some are going to do it well. Others, maybe like as we see the engineer Olivier Bolson and Romain Grosjean, might pick up some spots because some won't make it as far as they need if they don't have yellows.
And where this gets interesting, guys, is a driver sort of mid-pack that accepts, hey, look, guys, we're not going to be able to do that. We don't have the pace. We don't have the handling. Let's commit to that extra stop. Let's put the hammer down, make some passes on track to make these fuel numbers. Some of these drivers are going to have to start lifting at just past the start-finish line, Townsend, which makes them so susceptible to the cars that are going for it.
Yeah, it's not going to be that easy for Grosjean unless some drivers really have to bail out and pit under the green flag. Where it really advantages Grosjean is being able to stay on the racetrack and run longer than anybody in the second stint if a yellow comes out and everybody else has to pit a few laps early. That's where it really becomes an advantage. And then once you get to the final stint, Grosjean, in theory, if he continues to extend stint 2 and 3, he'll have the freshest tires to end the race.
Now, while everything looks great now, folks, there is weather on the way, but we're just 40 laps away from reaching the halfway point of this race where it can be called official. It has been a really big talking point this weekend about that weather. We did have rain earlier today. Cross your fingers, knock on wood, whatever you got to do to make sure it stays dry all the way through. Check this out, Joseph Newgarden in the PPG Chevy on Marcus Ericsson, fellow championship contender.
Yeah, great move from Joseph. Very decisive there. Cuts back down. Look at how much Marcus Ericsson's car drives up as here's Pato O'Ward looking for second place on Scott McLaughlin.
This guy loves this track. That's O'Ward in the Arrow McLaren SP. Couple of Chevys going at it.
Oh, now O'Ward has to chase his race car all the way up the track. Fast and furious with the hands in the cockpit and almost got in the wall for O'Ward as he gives up a spot to Newgarden.
He'll be lucky if he doesn't lose another one to Marcus Ericsson. That momentum loss, all that dirt on your tires, that's going to be probably 2 laps before he feels comfortable again. That was a slam in the face from Scott McLaughlin on Pato O'Ward.
Think of some of the veterans riding, and then it's a young gun like O'Ward that's like, oh, I can pass this guy, and then it doesn't work out, and you pay the price big time if you get up in the gray.
Enter the Ninja. Those hands were blurry. They were moving so fast. Power still on top. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Shield Products, your full-time lineup of disinfectants, cleansers, and PPE products, and proud partner of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Liberty Mutual Insurance, only pay for what you need. And by Hy-Vee. Throughout the race season, HyVeeDeals.com provides a chance to win $25,000. HyVeeDeals.com, proud sponsor of the number 45 car, which is Team RLL's Jack Harvey, who still runs in 9th place, but Jack slightly off sequence to the guys like this. Arrow McLaren SP's Pato O'Ward, who had that very nervous moment right before we went to the break. Let's take you on board the number 5 and watch the Ninja hands.
Yeah, Scott McLaughlin comes down there, just takes all the air off the front wing of Pato O'Ward. He gets up in the gray, has to drop a gear, and then when he gets on the gas Townsend actually got wheel spin in third.
Meanwhile, Joseph Newgarden saying thank you very much as Grosjean slow on the front straightaway.
Still there.
He hit the wall apparently.
Understand there was contact for the 28. Looking at those right sides.
Trying to tell if it's Ben or if he's just kind of trying to regroup himself. Maybe got some marbles on his tires. We saw him get up close to the wall a few times last year in his oval debut. He's still out there. It looks like he's hanging on to it.
Let's take a look at a replay here. There's Grosjean up in the gray, coming off the 4. Didn't even touch it. Just got
beauty
marbles on the tires.
Yeah,
and then it's going to take a lap or 2.
It is amazing how
I didn't need to worry. He just cut in front of me on entry.
Award on Newgarden.
Man, that was a decisive move.
Sure
I mean,
was. He didn't hang about on that one.
I wonder
Great job.
if maybe Joseph's trying to save a bit more fuel than the 5 is at this moment, because that looked like a big lift from Pato O'Ward. Both guys pit last on lap 59.
The top 5 are 5 of the championship 7. We couldn't ask for it to be any better on the final oval of the year in this Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Dylan Welsh.
So Pato is in a unique situation because they're technically still in this championship hunt, but came in here 59 or 60 points back. So their mentality is just kind of, let's just go for it. They said, we need a podium here today. We don't necessarily need a win, but we need a podium. But they can go for it. They can take some more risks and are willing to take some more risks because they're not really close enough to really have to nurse a points battle or a position battle or anything like that. So Pato is saving fuel right now, and the team has told him, you're doing perfectly, you're hitting our number perfectly, but they're also letting him go for it too. So it's been fun on the radio to listen to how these guys are balancing the fuel save, but also going for positions when they come about, Kevin.
So right before Pato O'Ward made that passing attempt on Scott McLaughlin, Kyle Moyer, his strategist, told him, use all the fuel you need right here. Keep him behind you. McLaughlin in a similar situation to O'Ward. He's going to need some help. He's still in the championship, 58 points back in 6th. And he told me, yes, that does allow me to be a little bit more aggressive. I've already won 2 times this year. I'm ahead of the game in development, coming over to a very new form of racing in year number 2. And with that, I can also help my teammates. If I can't win the championship, I want to get ahead of Ericsson, stay ahead of O'Ward in this championship fight. And he's done that in the early going, running 2nd.
Here comes Pato, the man with a 100% podium finishing record. Let's try it again many laps later, and then thinks differently.
No, he's going to get the jet wash there. He's able to keep it low, though, in turns 3 and 4 as McLaughlin able to keep O'Ward behind. Now, the gamble that you could make at this point is to pit now, James, under green. Trust that the yellow's not coming. Undercut the field, knowing that the leaders are pitting at about lap 130, and gamble on weather coming. That would be a big gamble, but if you really wanted to roll the dice, you could do that. Who did that? Dale Coyne Racing with Takuma Sato. They just hit pit lane, and if there's a gambler in the bunch on pit lane, it's always Dale Coyne.
They've done it here before. They've won the race here before on that strategy. Sorry, Takuma's won the race here before on that strategy. He was with a different team, but the only thing that makes that work, Townsend, is coming out in clean air. So it really depends where the other cars are on track and where you filter out.
Well, there's the radar. I'm looking at St. Clair, Missouri over there. Any kind of cells popping up. It's really further north in Washington right now, but that's about 60 miles to the west. So I think that's what Dale Coyne Racing must be looking at, because Sato was having a pretty decent run in the top 10. He qualified well and was holding his own. Meanwhile, Harvey and Kirkwood going at it.
New sponsorship for this race on the AJ Foyt famous number 14, the Bommarito Automotive Group on Kirkwood's car, with 152 laps to go. The FedEx Cup playoffs continue with the BMW Championship, where you must win your way forward as every shot gets the best golfers in the world one step closer to the ultimate prize. That's tomorrow, 2 Eastern on NBC and on Peacock, and it's a nice tight leaderboard in Wilmington with Patrick Cantley leading the way, Xander Schauffele, Scott Stallings, Adam Scott, really close. So it's going to be a great final day tomorrow as we welcome you back here to the Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe, Dylan Welsh and Kevin Lee enjoying a beautiful evening at the moment as we broach ever so close to halfway, and we keep emphasizing halfway because if the rain comes, then the race can be deemed official.
And there you see it off to the west as we ride on board with the iPacket car, Graham Rahal. Dark skies coming from the west, clear skies to the east. I'm looking at the radar right now, and it feels, James, like maybe 30 minutes. You might start to see raindrops half distance at lap 130 as Pagano comes to pit lane. Kevin, they're gambling.
Definitely, and I like the idea that you talked about. Just turn up the fuel mixture, get in, hope a caution comes at some point, or just mainly, don't worry about saving fuel. I'm not sure if we're getting to 260 anyways, so it's no point in saving fuel. Pagano is one of those trying that.
Yeah, I agree. I like that call from the Mike Shank team.
Sato on the inside of Dixon.
Yeah, there's Sato with the undercut, those fresher tires. So Sato was the first to gamble. Pagano follows suit. I think you might see others jump in here. The lead group that's trying to make it on 2 more stops, assuming no rain comes, they'll be pitting right around lap 130 if they can hang on.
Because of where Sato stopped, he went a lap down, but he is on a mission full of fuel, fresh tires. Here's the iPacket Honda for Graham Rahal.
Different look for Graham Rahal. Green livery. He's hoping that's going to be a lucky color for him. iPacket is the primary sponsor. Same situation. He's going to have no changes, but maybe thinking about giving up on fuel saving entirely. They're not in position to be able to do it on one more stop unless yellow comes out. So just go hard and see what happens.
I see Scott Dixon's crew setting up, and here is Dixon now. Pit entry. Dylan Welsh is standing by.
So they begin just run around 5th or 6th today, and Scott's been pretty happy with the car, just haven't been able to move up as much as they would like to. So crew laid out here, and they'll change 4 Firestone tires, add fuel as well, and send Dixon back onto the racetrack. I think this was earlier than they wanted to as well. You see a front wing change there as well, just a little earlier than they wanted to, but they're on this all-sequence strategy too to try and gain some track position.
Fistful of front wing coming out from the crew in the number 9. That means Dixon was loose. Too much oversteer on the balance. Here's Connor Daly coming to pit lane.
Flying the flag for Ed Carpenter Racing this weekend. He has been the leader of the team, no doubt, running a kind of consistent 14th so far in the first part of this race. Let's see what kind of strategy options they can make work. Try and bump him up a little bit. One of the team cars already out with Rinus VeeKay.
At the front, though, to the tune of almost a second, Will Power continues to dominate this race. He has led 117 laps. Dylan.
Here's the top running rookie, Devlin DeFrancesco, having a great day, doing exactly what he needed to do. They qualified well, just taking the race as it comes to him now, and he's been in the top 10 all afternoon.
Once this cycles through, it'll be interesting to see how this strategy plays out, coming a little earlier than the guys he was racing with, like this man right here, his teammate, Alexander Rossi. Let's see how this plays out, Dylan.
Rossi on his way in, another one that just has kind of struggled to get over some track position here, and he looks like he's maybe slowing here. He is he's trying to get into the box. So listening to the radio, car's not running for Rossi.
I wonder if he ran out of fuel, guys. We see him in neutral there. He was just cruising, car not on, filling it up. God, could they have run it out of fuel? That doesn't seem to make sense.
We'll find out. They get the starter ready. It's not always that easy to refire these things. Goes right back up and then it stalls. So maybe it's an electronic issue for Rossi.
Could be something to do with the clutch. I was wondering if maybe he had some rear lock and the engine stalled. We saw that actually happen to him in Nashville. Scott Marks, his crew chief there, trying to get that thing started.
It does not want to refire.
I'll bet they ran it out of gas if they're trying to tell him to add throttle.
And we know once these things run out of gas, these IndyCar engines, they are tough. And guys, the leaders are down to pit lane.
Here we go, the teammates. This has been quite the scrap. It's been fair up until now, so it's pit crew against pit crew. The 12 versus the thirsty 3s.
And Newgarden also pitted with them on 59 the last time around, so Newgarden is going an extra lap. Power hits his box first. Newgarden is going to come in next lap. You saw McLaughlin go around the Newgarden team. Who's going to win the race off pit road? Power is released. Is he going to beat McLaughlin out? It's close. Yes, he is. Power maintains the advantage.
Yeah, but Penske perfect on pit lane. They matched each other to 1/10 of a second. And this is the critical out lap. You want to push on cold tires, but don't lose the car on the apron. McLaughlin back up to speed. Lap 126, so they're still a little short to make it without caution, I think. With one more stop, this is Newgarden, Kevin.
And I think this is going to be key to watch to see if Newgarden can pick up any spot. I want you guys to watch the blend as Newgarden comes back on track looking for his 2 teammates.
And let's watch the blend for Pato O'Ward as well. Joseph Newgarden on that pit exit road.
That's traffic for Power and McLaughlin. Where are they? Maybe they're already by. Yes, they are. Power's into turn 3, McLaughlin into turn 3. So
watch it here, though, with O'Ward. O'Ward is up ahead on the left. O'Ward's coming out of that pit exit. Here is effectively first and second. How close is it with the Arrow McLaren SP driver?
O'Ward's on the apron right now. Not that close for Will Power. It'll be pretty close with McLaughlin. McLaughlin's able to sail on by.
So the top 3 hold station. Marcus Ericsson was down in 5th before this started.
And as they come across the line this time, make that lap 128. We are just 2 away from officially the halfway point of this race.
Yeah, Joseph Newgarden was the real sort of loser in that. Going longer, hit some traffic, had to drive around a car. They had a pit box full in front of him, so didn't get as quick of an exit. So he's lost a little bit of ground.
Dylan Welsh, what's happening?
Well, this is just painful. Alexander Rossi still on pit road. You see at the bottom of your screen. The car did run out of fuel, and they still haven't been able to get it fired yet. So I think what they were trying to do was get the car completely turned off to power cycle it and get everything started back up. But because it shut off while it was running, they're struggling to just get everything reset to even get the car refired. So that's why they're sitting on pit road here, and it's obviously gone from bad to worse for Rossi.
That's brutal. He was having a decent run on the fringe of the top 10. Meanwhile, stuck in traffic, the likes of Joseph Newgard and Scott Dixon.
And the guy who's sitting pretty right now is Takuma Sato, last pitted on lap 103. If weather comes, as we're just at half distance, Sato could be in the catbird seat. Look at how hard Jimmy Johnson is fighting to stay in front of Newgarden.
This is great running from Jimmy. I think Joseph's going to clear him there.
Jimmy's 2 laps down, just trying to stay 1 lap down to Newgarden, as Newgarden now has a run on Ericsson.
Ericsson trying to get around the lap car.
Oh boy.
The blue and purple car of Ed Carpenter, both of them go by into turn 1, so Marcus was able to jump Newgarden in that last. Look at Jimmy Johnson around the outside, Ed. That last pit cycle, sorry.
He's starting to feel that high groove, isn't he? He likes that. Here's Kyle Kirkwood on Ed Carpenter, talking about drivers a little further down and deep in the pack. Sato 3.3 seconds ahead of Will Power, with now officially over the halfway mark. Kevin, 129 to go.
And the guy hoping it stays green to the end is Romain Grosjean, who just made his second stop. He's the only one, I think, that's got a chance to do it on one more stop. But I'm hearing more chatter from engineers and strategists saying, don't save fuel. So that means they think rain is coming. The race now officially starts.
Go for it. Go for it. And Sato of Dale Coyne Racing with Rick Ware Racing out in front in that Nurtec ODT. There's the updated radar, and rain heading our way.
And this is what Dale Coyne's been looking at. Remember about 10 minutes ago over Washington, that cell. So I think maybe in about 25 minutes, might start to see some rainfall. We'll just have to see how things break up. There's no guarantee. That blob could be easily to the south of us. This thing could go all the way to the end.
You love your smaller towns on the radar, don't you?
Listen, some good eats out there. You just got to find them.
Sato, Power, McLaughlin, O'Ward, and Ericsson, the top 5 with 127 to go. So, I want to show you a couple of things that happened during the break, most notably Pato O'Ward and Scott McLaughlin.
Pato thought about lifting off and just coasting, but McLaughlin had lifted so early that Pato changed his mind and just fired it up the inside, and you can see McLaughlin desperately trying to clean his tires up. You can appreciate just how much the marbles accumulate in one corner in one moment like that.
When you see how much they were coming off the back of the car, it was like he'd driven through a gravel trap. You know, there's just so much marble, so much dirt and debris up there, having not had any yellow and any chance for the track to get clean. But that definitely, it was interesting. You saw Pato start to lift. McLaughlin lifted so early. Pato got back on the gas.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe a little bit of a return the favor from what happened in turn 3 earlier.
And how about Takuma Sato up front? He put, when we went to the break, he was just over 3 seconds ahead of Will Power. He's now 5.7. He was more than 6 seconds out in front of Power. Look at this, Jack Harvey in the Hy-Vee Honda and Graham Rahal, the teammates from Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan.
So Sato pitted on 103. Let's say you can go 65, maybe 63 on a stint here. That'll get Sato to about lap 166, so it's another 20 laps, Dylan, before Sato would have to pit. Question is, what's the weather like on pit lane?
Yeah, well, the wind just started to pick up.
Oh,
trouble, we got a car on the wall.
Jack Harvey in the Hy-Vee Honda. He was arm wrestling his teammate.
It's yellow.
And this is the first caution of the race. 144
Sorry, guys,
laps in.
Tried the high line to go around it and just run out of track.
Now, what do you do if you're on a timing stand? You've got plenty of gas to go. For Sato, 20 more laps, and for a lot of the other drivers, about 40 more laps. Do you pit for fresh rubber and pin your ears back and send it? Or do you hang on for track position and study the weather? And you can tell, look at these guys. Look at Brad Goldberg down here for Marcus Ericsson. they're trying to figure out the exact same thing.
It's getting closer.
I think if you're Takuma Sato, it's coming, but it's not here yet. You pit. There's only 8 cars on the lead lap. That's as far down as he would go. He'd have fresh rubber, no fuel concerns. That's what I would do if I'm up front with that 20-lap deficit. Kevin, what do you know in pit lane?
Well, it's not what I know, it's what I think, and it's based on when they think it's going to rain. If they don't think it's going to rain before the next stop, you go ahead and get it in now, so it gives you more time to run hard. But I think it'll be mixed. I think we'll see some take this, but I think some are going to go ahead and stay out and hope the rain comes, and this buys them a little more time before they have to make that last stop. Plus, if somehow it doesn't rain, this yellow allows some people to have a chance to make it home on one more stop.
So pit road is still closed as we take a look here at what happened.
Man, Graham Rahal and his teammate Jack Harvey. Jack was already way up. He was already gone by the time we flew in. So here we go.
Said he tried the high line to go around whoever that was in front of him at the time and got up into the grey, and a passenger clunk.
Yeah, pretty late in the corner. He almost had it.
Might not be hard enough to have put him out of that right rear. Looks like maybe the right rear toe link's broken, as you can see the RLL boys looking. And looks like this is maybe going to push him back into the garage. Look at the marble accumulation on the left front there. There's the bent toe link. You can see just there. So that's going to require lengthy repairs. But if we can see that shot on the left front and the left rear again, it was just insane how much marble buildup is there.
How about that? Going for 144 laps, caution-free. There has never been a caution-free race in total here at the Bommarito Automotive Group 500 as the RLL gang go to work on Jack Harvey's Hy-Vee Honda.
Now what this does do is it gives the IndyCar Series the chance to get those sweepers out on track and take care of a lot of those marbles, that debris that's up in the second lane that caught out Jack Harvey. So on this next restart, when we eventually get it after this pit sequence, I think we're going to see quite a few drivers be brave and know that it's fresh track up there. Let's go for it.
Yep.
All right, so if you're Sato, are you pitting?
I think you have to.
If you're not Sato,
you
are you
don't have
pitting?
to, but listen, they've gambled to this point, and look who is.
Has the pit lane open? Is the only guy? Let's see. Yeah,
look to the left.
I don't see anything flashing lights.
Wow. Sato stays out, but Scott McLaughlin comes in. Joseph Newgarden comes with him. Kevin.
This is Penske splitting their strategy, Kevin.
I think all 3 Penske's are coming. They're all set up. Now maybe Newgarden is not. I'm waiting and watching to see.
Newgarden
Tires are set up for power. I think he stayed out. So McLaughlin is the only one of those, and there's Newgarden following him. So you're right. They are splitting. So the leader of the race, Will Power, stays out. Meanwhile, Joseph Newgarden is in, and further down pit road, it's Scott McLaughlin in the Odyssey battery colors, the red and white. He releases quickly. He easily will beat Joseph Newgarden off pit lane this time.
Remember the Indianapolis road course at the beginning of the year in the month of May when that deluge occurred. Here comes Sato. Race leader is in for Dale Coyne Racing with Rick Ware Racing. The rain got the better of McLaughlin and the 3 team at Team Penske at Indy. They don't want that to happen again. Here's Sato.
And they wanted him in a lap ago. I think there was just so much radio traffic and so much discussion that it all got lost in the shuffle, and he missed coming in last time down. So thankfully, only 11 cars on the lead lap right now, so he won't fall all the way down the leaderboard. But they wanted him in a lap ago, and we're hoping that the weather was going to come sooner than it did, and unfortunately didn't for the 51.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see him come in that lap with the lap down cars. So bizarre.
So a little confusion there with the 51 team. He was coming. Was he coming? Yes, yes, no. And makes a last-minute decision to stay out. Look at that wind. Look at the flags. Here comes the weather.
And also here comes a huge balance shift to your race cars. That kind of wind picking up is going to make a huge difference to how the car feels through both ends of this racetrack.
We talked about this in the break, and I'll point it out again. Just because there might be rain doesn't mean the race will be called, because it doesn't look like a huge amount of weather there. And I know it sprinkled earlier today, and it dried up very quickly. That was in the sun, but the temperature still 84 degrees outside as the skies darken.
So the championship contenders kind of split strategies on that stop. This is how the points would shake out if it finished as they run right now. The top 3 did not pit, but Newgarden did, McLaughlin did.
is the man who's dominated this race. Will Power has led 123 of the 152 laps thus far. The championship leader, the pole sitter. And if you just joined us, it was a record equaling pole. He ties Mario Andretti for 67 career poles, and look at how frantic pit lane is. Kevin Lee standing by. They're coming your way, Kevo.
Well, one of those I saw coming was Malukas, who was last on the lead lap, so he wasn't going to lose anything other than now being in a much better position as far as fuel is concerned. We see several others that are going to make a stop here, so we've got 3 different strategies involved in this race.
I like stopping here on the lead lap because fresh rubber on a cleaned up racetrack, you can make moves happen. You don't have to conserve. You're gonna have one more stop to make it to the end, just like the leaders. And like Kevin pointed out, only 8 cars on the lead lap there. So I think McLaughlin and Newgard are gonna be really fun to watch.
Moisture on the lens, guys. I saw a couple raindrops on Colton Herta's onboard there. Is it already here?
Is that raindrops or is that just the fuel spray?
Oh, good call.
From the Buckeye. You know, they spray water to try to dilute any excess fuel on the stop. So we'll have to watch and see if the drops accumulate.
Kevin, what's the 3 team of Joseph Newgarden saying?
So keep in mind, they are leading of those that have pitted recently. We wondered on that decision making. Count on Team Penske for having an exact time when the rain is going to come. Let's listen.
So the people that were racing are Will, Pato, Erickson, Dixie, and Palu. We're going to run as hard as we can now to try to extend our window because we think it's going to rain in approximately 60 laps.
And that was about 3 laps ago, so that takes us to about lap 210 or so. And by the way, 60 laps, coincidentally, is the length of a stint. So they're gaming on it rains before we need to pit again. But those that stayed out, they're going to have to pit before it rains.
And pardon me there, of course, the 3 is Scott McLaughlin. Updated radar for you with center of your screen. How about Graham Rahal? Came in, topped up again, fresh tyres again. In this iPacket Honda for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. On the lead lap, and he's fresh and ready to go.
The other thing to remember, guys, it's not just rain that could stop this race. It could be lightning as well.
Yep.
So that throws a whole nother wrench in the plans as Will Power brings the field around to get the green.
So first car on new tires, Scott McLaughlin, and then his teammate Joseph Newgarden as they wave off the restart.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch, Townsend. Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden, Takuma Sato, all with the new tires there, running 6th, 7th, 8th.
And some lap cars in the mix on old tires like Rosenquist and DeFrancesco there. They'll have to certainly factor into the action here once we get back to green.
Word from race control, they'd like to see them a little tighter, packed up.
Look pretty tight to me.
Seen worse. Yeah, Felix Rosenquist doing an incredible job right now, up in 12th. He's the first car a lap down, but from P last on the grid, 26th, all the way up to 12th now.
And in the game of risk and reward as a driver right now, you're asking yourself, how clean is the racetrack? How much can I get away with to the high side?
I think safety third, Townsend. Go for it.
Safety third.
All right, here we go. They're nicely packed up now at the front. Will Power controlling the pace and will control in the acceleration zone. With a nice, clean, clear track ahead. It has been swept. Here we go.
Didn't look as clean as the last one, but Will Power tries to snake his way up the front straight to fight off Pato Award. He's going to lead 4 wide.
McLaughlin on the inside of Dixon and Kirkwood and Palou. Great. And look at Pato Award around the outside for the lead. What a move.
A lot of bravery going on right now on this restart. Award to the front. McLaughlin trying to make those clean new tires work.
I told you, safety third. Go fast, take chances, then be safe. That's what Pato Award wants to do. He's not worried about the championship. He's worried about winning. And look at this traffic jam behind.
Newgarden, Dixon, on board with Connor Daly. Side by side into turn 1.
Kyle Kirkwood outside of Connor Daly there. You saw Scott Dixon trying to work the high side on Joseph Newgarden. Now he's in his wheel tracks. Will he pull out into 3?
Daly trying to move Kirkwood up the track. Meanwhile, Sato looked low, got shut down.
Sato on the new tires. Now he's under threat from behind. Looks like Simon Pagenaud and Meyer Shank Racing Car trying to make that move stick, and I think he's going to get him.
He will. Great move. Simon Pagenaud rounds up Sato. Meanwhile, it's Award, Power, Erickson, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't look like that on track. Ericsson's a couple of cars back.
Track may be clean, but it looks like a lot of tiptoeing on the high line. Here's Palou and Newgarden. Newgarden having none of it, fires it forward on those fresher tires, and now Newgarden settling in. Newgarden 5th, McLaughlin still 4th.
You're going to tell a guy like Joseph Newgarden at a track like Worldwide Technology Raceway he's got better tires and more fuel to burn? Watch out, guys.
The 3-time winner and defending winner, Joseph Newgarden, in that blue and white PPG Chevy. I'm going to go back to that move by Pato O'Ward, though. That was scintillating. Around the outside of power. See you later.
Let's take a look on board here with O'Ward as he made that move. He did not hesitate.
Inside, keep digging, keep digging.
So
Clear.
close. That mid-corner commitment, the trust in the front tires to get back to power, roll that throttle. Maybe a little too conservative from Will Power up front there. And here's an onboard for McLaughlin, 3 wide in front. Tries to make it 4, pulls it off as well.
3 wide bottom.
3 cars in 1 corner.
That is not part of the manual on how to race. He threw that out the window and went for it.
Here we go. Marcus Ericsson defending from Joseph Newgarden. 2 of the championship contenders.
And Newgarden had just got around McLaughlin as well. And now he's going to try to roll it all the way around Devlin DiFrancesco, who's a lap down but keeping up with these top guys.
That is huge for Newgarden to get clear now. So it's just Rosenquist in front of Newgarden. Rosenquist is a lap down. If Newgarden can clear him, he's going to be on fresher tires with the leaders right in his sights.
McLaughlin trying to work his way through. Here goes Newgarden on Rosenquist.
No problem.
This is going to make it a clear 1, 2, 3.
Now, if you're Will Power, teammates to Newgarden or Pato O'Ward, you're going to be looking in your mirrors going, uh-oh.
You're going to be looking at your windscreen pretty soon saying uh-oh, because Joseph Newgarden's not hanging around. He is going right by the number 12 Horizon Chevrolet Will Power.
That's what new tires, new Firestone tires do. Fresh fuel, fresh tires, here I come.
And at this point, you might hear on the radio, why didn't we pit like these guys?
Man, he looks like he's in a different class.
That's
not even
the pass for the
close.
lead. Newgarden to the front, and he should disappear here.
McLaughlin around the outside of Ericsson. The guys who stopped most recently are on rails.
That's definitely the most I've seen the Highline work here at Gateway in a long, long time, if ever. But it is great to see this kind of action. Little slat up the racetrack there. But look how quickly, I mean, McLaughlin was ahead of Newgarden at the end of that cycle. But now Newgarden's driven his way all the way to the point. McLaughlin down in 4th. Just incredible stint here from Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah, in just a few laps, Newgarden has completely taken control of this race. Everybody will have to make another stop to go the full 260 laps, and if weather comes, Newgarden's at the front anyway. So that strategy, that call from Tim Cindric, brilliant. Right call, right time.
This has put, as the points as they run, put this man in 2nd place in the championship. Just 10 behind his teammate Will Power. Great strategy. Watch this. Look at the speed difference. Into turn 1. And I'll take the lead, thank you very much.
Just incredible. I mean, he didn't even blink when Pato O'Ward lifted off the throttle, kept his foot hard in it. He broke where he wanted to break, and look at the gap he's now pulled out, over 2.5 seconds in just a handful of laps.
Of this current field, Joseph Newgarden is the best short track IndyCar racer, and he is showing us why, coupled with great strategy from Team Penske. Newgarden out in front by 3 seconds. Quick reminder that tomorrow the NASCAR Cup Series is on USA, off to classic Watkins Glen International in upstate New York, where a wild regular season could get even more wild. Who rules the road? Find out tomorrow, 3 Eastern, right here on USA. Hey, Kimi Räikkönen, Formula One world champion in the field.
I love it. I love that this guy will get in anything and drive it fast. I can't wait to watch and see what the Iceman's got in store for him.
On a Trackhouse car, he should have a really good shot. Kimi qualified, what, 27th?
Yeah.
So mid-pack, but give him time to learn through those first couple of stages. There's no telling what could be possible at the end of that thing.
Also, sports car legend Mike Rockenfeller also in the field. Can't wait to watch that tomorrow. right now, it's time for an axe through the field. We kick it off with Kevin Lee. Kevo?
Top 7 in the championship that is so tight, closest among 7 in 20 years of the top 7 in this race. And Joseph Newgarden, we didn't think that new tires would make that much of a difference, but he rocketed the front. He's never won 5 races in a season before. He's got a chance to get that done today. He'll need to make his last stop somewhere around lap 215 or so, Dylan.
Message to Pato Award at the start as he's under fire now from Scott McLaughlin was be aggressive on the restarts. We saw that with that move to take the lead from Will Power, and now he moves back to third. But Pato's on a different strategy from these 2 Penske cars. They're monitoring the other Penske car, Will Power, for their own fuel number to try and make sure that they can make it to the end of their stint, Kevin.
And how about that? Scott McLaughlin just moves around Pato Award to get to second. So the strategy to come in and take tires and fuel works for Scott McLaughlin. Penske is 1-2. They're just hoping the rain comes before they have to make that final stop around lap 225 or so. Not the case for Will Power. He's going to have to stop sooner. He didn't come in. He thought he might be on his way to win number 42, which would tie Michael Andretti for 4th all time. But he's still, as points run, leading the championship, but it's down to 7 in the moment on Joseph Newgarden, Dylan.
Solid day going for Marcus Ericsson, but not solid enough. They're down to 4th as they run in the championship right now. Good thing is their car has been pretty solid all weekend. It felt like their race car was better than the car they qualified second with. It's been really predictable, really strong on the long runs and at the end of the stint. So they like these stints going a little bit further and going the full distance. Feel like that comes into the wheelhouse of their race car. Ericsson runs in the 5th spot right now, Kevin.
Alex Palou is in it to win it, but I think all things considered, if he finished where he's at right now, 6th, he would have taken that coming into the weekend. He had big concerns, just wanted to kind of survive to give him still a chance to defend his championship coming into the final 2 races. Remember, nobody's won back-to-back championships since one of his coaches with Chip Ganassi Racing, Dario Franchitti, and that was more than a decade ago, Dylan.
The other Ganassi car, Scott Dixon, runs in the 7th spot right now. Said before the start of this race that it's been a good progression as far as working on setups of their race car. They took a whole different approach, a whole different mindset to their race car this year, made adjustments on it a lot throughout the weekend. They've got it to okay right now. They've made adjustments on it about every stop. Gonna have to try to keep working on it for Dixon, Kevin.
David Malukas continues to impress. The youngster from Chicago, who is just 20 years old, is so relaxed. We caught him under green flag racing a little while ago, singing the song, if you're curious, You Spin Me Right Round Round. David Malukas is showing that he is a superstar in the making, Dylan.
And his teammate right behind him, his veteran teammate Takuma Sato, looked like he was in a good spot. He pitted a lap later than Newgarden and McLaughlin, who run 1-2, but he has not moved forward. Another car that has been battling the handling throughout the weekend. He's mired in traffic again, and it's kind of the same story. Felt like if they could get him clean air, it'd be better, but he's still running in the 9th spot right now.
And you see Takuma Sato there about to execute a move on Helio Castro Neves, or is he coming up on no, Helio's behind him. He's already passed him. News just yesterday that the 4-time Indianapolis 500 winner will be with Meyer Shank Racing in 2023.
That's great for Helio. Give another chance at another Indy 500 win and potentially an IndyCar championship. What a way that would be to finish off one of the most successful careers in the history of IndyCar. On board here with Helio from some of our trackside cams, Hinch, I thought I started to see just a little bit of moisture, but nothing on board with Helio.
Yeah, it looked like that turn 2 camera had something on it. I don't know if it was marbles or moisture, but it's, I mean, those clouds look pretty ominous. Where it was so bright coming through turn 3, now look as they come through 3 into 4, they're coming.
With our championship contenders, Dixon's the one that I think wants to get his last stop in, or hopes actually it starts raining sooner, because Dixon has the most number of laps on this stint. 119 was his last pit stop, so he's hanging on here, hoping for some rain.
Kevin, tell us about his teammate and the defending series champ, Alex Palou.
Well, we're all wondering what everybody's doing that is going to need to stop sooner, like around 190, 195-ish for someone like Alex Palou. Let's hear what they're telling him.
For the last stop, I don't want anybody to undercut us, boys. We need to go aggressive.
Yeah, we'll see where we are in the fuel.
He wants to be the first guy to pit last. That's a great strategy. It works out a lot, but the yellow is what would hurt him there. It really exposes
Well,
him.
he's got to keep weather in mind. That's the information you don't have as a driver. Sure, you could pit Palou at 195 or something and get him on fresh tires, but then if the rain comes and the yellow comes out, Pallot's going to be a lap and a half down.
Well, he doesn't have a huge amount of breathing room there. He pit last on lap 125, so he's just talking about beating O'Ward, Power, and Ericsson to pit lane.
That's right. The other cars on the strategy.
That's Sato on Simon Pagenaud. Pagenaud in 17th place, so that wasn't a move for position because Takuma is running in the top 10 in 9th place.
Running at the top 10 is Graham Rahal. Shout out to him in that Rahal Letterman Lanigan racing car.
Here he is.
Doing a solid job here. New colors, the iPacket machine this weekend as he clears Jimmy Johnson.
Top 10 at the moment for Graham. Weather coming fast. 72 laps to go here in this Bommarito Automotive Group 500.
One of the championship contenders, Alex Palou, just in, hoping it's his last stop, but it's going to be very, very close. I think the get-home number, the most you can go is about 67 laps on Super Save, Dylan.
Marcus Ericsson was in as well, so all the Ganassi cars in early here. 4 tires and fuel routine service for Ericsson.
Dixon pitted while we're in the break as well. So 67 laps to go. Threatening weather. Joseph Newgarden in the lead and closing in the championship race.
Palou got what he wanted. He was the first of the group that pitted at the same time as him on the last stop to pit. Marcus Ericsson, his teammate, 1 lap after him.
And remember, Newgarden was up to almost an 8-second lead, but now in traffic, that has shrunk back down to about 2 seconds.
Look how quickly it dropped off there.
Hey guys, let's give a shout out to rookie David Malukas. He's 5 laps better on fuel than the guys up front, Newgarden and McLaughlin, and the 20-year-old rookie is running 4th. Here's Will Power.
And even if it doesn't rain, he probably can make it home the rest of the way, but everybody thinks it's going to, so it's likely no fuel save. Just get after it and go. Power probably making his last stop.
Yeah, it's such a tough call. We've seen this before.
Well,
what if it doesn't rain and you're running hard now and you're going to have to make a splash at the end?
And now you have to start thinking about covering the undercut, because if you do go another 10 laps and pit, if you're Newgarden or McLaughlin, you could lose on the undercut to somebody like Will Power on fresh tires. So at this point, maybe you just come in now and get it over with Newgarden. Should be able to comfortably come back out in the lead right now.
But if the yellow comes out now, you've trapped half the field a lap down. What do you do, Townsend? What do you do if you are one of these 26 strategists standing at the top of a pit box? This is a very difficult situation all around, as I think Pato O'Ward's diving to pit lane.
Still looks like clear skies to the west. Sunshine there. Pato O'Ward sees nothing but clear skies, Dylan, as he comes for his last stop.
And his spotter, Chris Wheeler, was reminding him of all the adjustments he needs to make sure he gets this car slowed down correctly and onto pit road. But Pato's happy with the balance on the racetrack. They were monitoring Will Power. He pitted a lap ago. Pato will cover him here, just waiting on the fuel, and a little delay, but all good for Pato.
Yeah, it took 2 pulls to get the fuel nozzle out, but came out relatively easily.
I think Newgarden and McLaughlin should pit.
Yes, get it done. Just get in, cover yourself.
I mean, look, they're 14 seconds ahead of Malukas.
Yep.
However, if rain came, you have Dale Coyne 1-2, and if that was the end of the race, then you'd be kicking yourself. Back to what Hinch said. What do you do?
There's just so many ways this could play out. Weather comes, weather doesn't come. A yellow happens, a yellow doesn't happen. Right now, Colton Herta's sitting in a good spot too, up in P6. One of those cars that pit last on 153, just like David Malukas and Graham Rahal. Those are the best ones so far from a fuel mileage standpoint.
I'm looking at the clarity of, or the brightness diff, and it's like the clouds that were coming have passed slightly, like we're in another little bit of a pocket. Kevin, what's it like outside?
It's breezy, but it's not changed in the last 15 minutes. 15 minutes ago, I thought it was on the brink, but I think it may be a little while. By the way, on those top 2, I think it's still 3 or 4 laps early before you come in. I was told 55 is about the number of laps that you can do with no fuel save at all. So I think ideally, unless they think it's going to rain immediately, you want to keep out. Either way, you want to stay out for a little bit and make sure you got no fuel save involved.
Ambient temperature has cooled some 7 degrees since this race started, and we've got 59 to go. How is this going to shake out? And if nothing else, remember this, 2 Dale Coyne cars in the top 4. It's not looking good for the Bitnile Chevy of Connor Daly.
Now, remember, Rinus VeeKay had some weird issues that put him out. Perhaps electronics. Dylan, what's going on? Do we know about the 20?
Yeah, it sounds like maybe a shifting problem. He was communicating on the radio, and let's take a listen.
Do I need emergency mode?
Calm down and refocus.
Yeah, Tim, I'm just trying to ask for help here. I can't shift. It feels like, honestly, something is broken.
It's a tough day for the Ed Carpenter cars with Rinus VeeKay's problem. Now Connor has issues as well.
Here's Romain Grosjean in the Napa Auto Parts Honda, Kevin.
So he is safe to be able to run hard the rest of the way, but he's not on the lead lap at this point. It's just fascinating right now because if you think it's going to rain before the end, you're staying out as long as you can. What if it rains sooner than it's expected? Because if you've come in and just made your stop and it starts raining, you lose your chance to win the race.
Well, when we heard the transmission from the Penske team to, I believe it was Scott McLaughlin at the time, we think it's going to rain in 60 laps. That's about, I think math correct, it's about 5 to 6 laps from now was what they were predicting around lap 210. So we'll see how good the weather machine is at Penske Racing. That's why Joseph Newgarden and Scott McLaughlin aren't diving to pit lane. They thought around that 210 number is when that rain was going to come. You see Joseph Newgarden, he's just cruising. He's just sitting there behind some lap traffic. I think it's Christian Lundgaard behind him, or in front of him, sorry. Saving cars, saving tires.
Good work from the Rahal gang too to get Graham Rahal into the top 5 with 55 to go. How is this going to shake out? Here comes Scott McLaughlin. This paints more of the picture.
So Penske split the strategy once. Maybe they're doing it again here, covering with the McLaughlin pit stop, keeping Newgarden out on track. Kevin, Scotty McLaughlin coming to you.
I think Newgarden is going to come the next lap. They've got tires out, but I don't see him. So McLaughlin is going to come in a lap earlier, and Newgarden is also going to hit the pit lane here. So both of the Team Penske cars are going to be out there. Still a little bit split, though, because remember, Power has already made his last stop, so he's going to get back the lap he was at. So it's going to be the blend that is crucial here. And Newgarden has Christian Lundgaard right in front of him. So McLaughlin easily wins that race off. A lap later, there's Newgarden coming in.
Was Newgarden able to go as hard as he wanted
I don't think
on
so.
that entry because of Lundgaard?
I don't think so. This should be really close on the blend between Newgarden and McLaughlin. Meanwhile, Dale Coyne Racing with David Malukas and Takuma Sato stays out. They run 1-2.
This is
there
be
goes
fascinating.
Newgarden. Where's McLaughlin on the front straightaway?
Crossing
there he
the
is.
start finish now.
Red and white car is McLaughlin. He goes through turn 1.
He's going to have it.
It's going to be close.
He's going to have it. I think he's going to have the momentum down into 3.
Could this be it between the bus bros?
Look at that. It could all come down to Joseph Newgarden getting held up by Christian Lundgaard on the decel lane, coming into pit lane. You know how much time you can make up through there, Townsend, and having a car in front of you just handicaps you there. You just handcuffs you. You can't go anywhere.
But a lot of traffic for McLaughlin.
You're the leader.
Takuma Sato has about 50, almost 60 laps on his tires. Sato, I think, just slid a little bit wide coming off a 2. So McLaughlin's going to have to decide now, how much do I want to push to get past Sato?
Was that the winning move with 51 laps to go?
David Malukas is currently leading this race. It's a Dale Coyne Racing 1-2.
And there are only 4 cars on the lead lap. Now 5 as McLaughlin go past Sato.
There's race leader David Malukas.
Look, is McLaughlin's still a lap down to Sato?
He is to Malukas.
So Sato slowing. I think Sato might have been coming into the pits. Malukas is coming in. Maybe both Coyne cars are coming in at this stage.
Race leader, slow it down. There you go. The teammates both on pit lane.
So that cycles Graham Rahal to the top for now with Colton Herta. Here's Taku.
They waited as long as they could, but they'll have to bring Sato in. No changes for the 51, it doesn't appear. Now they're a little bit slow trying to get him down and away, and it's a slow stop for Sato. Kev.
So David Malukas comes in. His only chance was it rained after the others came in, and he had an extra 5 laps or so, but still a strong day. He's in position to finish in the top 8 or so.
Here's Graham Rahal finally diving for the pits.
Rahal comes from the lead, so huge exhale if you're Team Penske with McLaughlin and Newgarden. All of the unpredictability of the rain effectively out of the window right now. Newgarden and McLaughlin will cycle back to the front with Graham Rahal down with 45 laps to go, Kev.
So Graham Rahal makes his final stop of the day and is trying to get something out of us. He's not going to be in the luck of the draw for the strategy to come out front, but still an opportunity to maybe finish on the lead lap.
So it's Team Penske 1-2 with the Odyssey Battery Chevrolet ahead of the PPG Chevrolet, Scott McLaughlin over Joseph Newgarden, and it's a Chevy 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment with Will Power behind Pato O'Ward.
Guys, I've seen this one before. Late in the race on an oval, Scott McLaughlin leading, Joseph Newgarden following.
Maybe 2022, Texas?
Maybe Texas 2022.
And what was it? It was traffic that held up McLaughlin and allowed Newgarden to go big to the high side.
Be smart here. Get to him.
Now caution is out.
Is that for moisture?
Conditions, the rain has finally arrived.
Boy.
We got a little rain, maybe.
Just the slightest of sprinkles, though. I thought I felt a drop, and I wasn't sure, but it is not raining, so this might pass, at least briefly.
Yes, any moisture on the racetrack on an oval, it's an immediate shutdown. These cars cannot take any kind of loss of grip.
And a smirk there from Kyle Moyer as they know they timed it just perfectly.
We may have made the right call at the right time.
He's trying not to smile.
That's an exhale right there.
Remember, these guys came in one lap before Joseph Newgarden. Newgarden it's questionable, may have been held up a little bit by Christian Lundgaard on pit in, and that was enough to get the Thirsty 3 team out first.
By the way, guys, the rain it's not raining hard, but it's picked up, and that's why you saw a smile from Kyle Moyer.
So here we go, another pit time differential powered by NTT. In lap, big advantage to Scott McLaughlin, and that counts.
It's the second time he's done that. If you remember the pit time differential on the last sequence, it was McLaughlin who was a second better. I forget who the comparison was. Was that Will Power, or it was somebody on the last time we did it?
Yeah.
He was really good on the in-lap.
And that includes that decel lane. That's all the way to the pit lane speed limit line. So that could have been part of where Joseph Newgarden's loss was. The rest of it, as you see, only about 0.2 of a second difference on the other columns, but that second gain on the in-lap was enough for Scott McLaughlin to get the front, and that may have been the difference, guys, depending on what happens here.
We don't know if this is it, but if it is, David Malukas, the 20-year-old rookie, would get his best career finish in 5th. Takuma Sato would get his best season finish in 6th. We don't know, though. We'll see how heavy the rain is. And for this race that has just had 2 cautions, it now has a red. They're going to be called to pit lane here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. We knew the rain was coming. It stayed off a little longer, but it's finally here. Only 2 races to go in the NTT IndyCar Series for the run for the IndyCar Championship. Next up, it's Portland International Raceway, Sunday, September 4 on NBC and on Peacock. How crazy can Portland get? Well, let's remind you. Let's give you a quick reminder. Let's just go back a couple of years. Yep, exiting that first complex. There's our James Hinchcliffe in the mix, and Marco Andretti up and over and upside down. Scott Dixon, champion-elect, right in the middle of it all.
This was the miracle on dirt. Carnage everywhere except for the 9 car. Houdini escapes relatively unscathed. And then last year, damp at the start.
Felix Rosenquist gets in a bit hot, tags both Ganassi drivers who have to take to the runoff. You see it here. There's Scott, there's Palou. Everyone, I think, in the top 5 ended up missing the corner.
And look, Alex Palou, when he came into pit very early on at the back of the pack, his team said, refocus, we can still do this. And he came back to win, and obviously that was a pivotal point in his championship winning campaign. You see everybody scurrying from the grandstands and also on pit lane. Not only is the rain coming down heavier, we understand that there is lightning in the area and everybody has been asked to take shelter. And for that reason there, everything has come to a grinding halt.
Just looking at those points, 21 points as they sit right now, separating the top 4. The point, I think, of that Portland clip is if you think you know what's going to happen in this championship, forget about it, because in 2 weeks you got turn 1 at Portland, the ultimate crapshoot on the IndyCar schedule.
So, Kev, great strategy call from the 3, great execution from the 3 team. What else have you heard from McLaughlin's crew?
They think it's going to rain hard. Not willing to say we've won the race yet, but the track is now wet. So we've, as they say, lost the track. So even if it stopped right now, it'd be a half hour or so before it's ready to go. And Team Penske's radar says we're going to get significant rain sometime soon. So can't say it's official yet, but it seems very likely that Scott McLaughlin is going to have won his first oval race in IndyCar. And then the question is going to be, you know, talking to Joseph Newgarden, it was just the sequence of the last pit stop and how much was he held up getting down to pit lane. Was that the difference in this race?
Yeah, but at the same time, he's got to be so happy that that yellow didn't come out 2 laps sooner. Oh, yeah. So as much as he can be upset about how that pit cycle played out, it could have ended a whole lot differently for McLaughlin and Newgarden. Not saying that it's over, because the Penske radar may say a lot of rain's coming. The McLaren radar probably says, hey, it's going to be sunny and shiny in a couple minutes. Let's get these things going.
So we were a couple of laps yellow earlier from David Malukas winning this race, right? Like what we talked about.
That's true.
Because he had come in during a yellow, topped off, was the last car on the lead lap, and was in position. So he had about a 3 or 4 lap buffer, a window for the yellow or the rain to come out to potentially be able to win the race.
So prior to the green flag falling today, there had been 13 IndyCar races here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and the captain's drivers had won 7. They love it here.
IndyCar racing under the lights on the oval. It's go time from Gateway. The 2 Penske drivers touch, and Joseph Newgarden goes back to the front. The next American superstar takes control of the championship.
Yes, yes, yes! Good job, boys.
Will Power wins and keeps his championship hopes alive.
Great job, guys.
Joseph Newgarden wins again at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Well done. Team effort, fellas.
Newgarden is now a 3-time winner.
Great job, guys. Did excellent.
Will Power draws level with Mario Andretti with his 67th pole position.
This is the Penske Palace. These guys are just, wow.
Look at these numbers. 7 wins, which in a matter of minutes, who knows, that could become 8. And look at the top 5s, the top 10s, the laps led.
A lot of laps led, and not only at this racetrack. I noticed this on the flight out to St. Louis. Team Penske this season has led 52.6% of the laps for the entire championship so far, and that is before the race started. So talk about Penske domination. If they don't win the championship, these stats will be painful to look at, because Team Penske has had the measure of the field in terms of laps led and pace at a lot of tracks, including here.
So you want to talk about painful. Let's go back to David Malukas for a second there. Was leading this race because of that top off in pit lane. He pit on lap 211. The yellow flew on lap 214. With the lap times being what they are, that's about 78 seconds difference between that yellow coming out when he was leading and that coming out with. Now, in all fairness, he's still sitting in a career best 5th place finish, top rookie by a mile. Devlin DeFrancesco is next on the rookie list down in 15th. But man, what could have been for the young boy from Illinois, as I like to call him.
So Will Power is talking to Ron Rzuski of his team, who, you know, they have that special bond and they have that relationship. Will, there were some personnel changes made coming into this season, and Will's very happy with the moves that happened and what he has been doing. And there was a kind of a look on his face of a little bit of frustration that maybe he might not be able to win this race. But the fact is, he's extended his lead from 7 to 17.
And you got to think it goes back to that call under caution to pit for tires or not. Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin did. Will Power stayed out. Typical Penske splitting strategies there. But I wonder if Will leading at the time probably had preference. He was probably given the choice, which way do you want to go? will send the other guys the other direction. And I wonder if they're sitting there thinking, man, we made the wrong call.
Yeah, and I think it really comes down to just the engineers on the timing stand, individually, those groups having the conversation, analyzing the radar, debating things. That was what was very clear to me on the last stop, was all of the debate, all the indecision in the eyes and the conversation. Normally it's pretty absolute. You kind of know what you're going to do, you know where you are, and everybody's on the same page. But there was conversations up and down pit lane on when the weather was going to come.
This just underscores how tense this championship fight is, with maybe like 2 1/8 rounds to go, or maybe just 2 rounds to go. We got lots more from Worldwide Technology Raceway. Stay with us. This championship fight is tight. The last one at Middle Isle is won by Will Power.
Oh, God.
Scott Dixon vaults himself 2 positions up into second.
Did it, buddy. You just won the Indy 500.
I can't believe it. I'm so happy.
Joseph Newgarden can climb within whispering distance of the championship. Win number 4 in the season.
There has never been in the history of IndyCar competition a Spanish champion. Alex Palou is his name, and he is the first. It is the closest championship fight in the last 20 years. Past 12 months has been just extraordinary, so enjoyable, a little bit of something for everybody, no matter who you cheer for in this NTT IndyCar series. That scene there tells the story of what we have here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, with a wet track and the stands being emptied. However, sun poking through. We've got a rainbow above us here, above the track, so who knows? This might be a short shower period. Nonetheless, let's get back to a topic that we were speaking about while we were still green on that crucial last pit stop, the difference between the Penske teammates. We synced the video with Scott McLaughlin and Joseph Newgarden. Fellas, take us away.
So they start at the exact same location on the racetrack. McLaughlin there on the left, Newgarden on the right. McLaughlin will have a clean entry, nobody in front of him, but Newgarden has Christian Lundgaard right there, and I think, James, that was the difference.
Yeah, just look at the hustle that Scott McLaughlin can carry through the first part of that, and by the time they get around to the timing line, you can see the difference visually. There, Scott McLaughlin is at the line. Look at the distance still to travel for Joseph Newgarden. Townsend, I bet you it's about a second.
I bet it's right about a second based on the data we saw earlier, thanks to NTT. But for Newgarden, as they sit right now on pit lane, he's up 2 positions in the championship, closing the gap as the cars sit covered.
And Lee, you talked about Will Power. Despite being a bit frustrated, he started from pole, led the race comfortably early on, actually extends his lead by if he finishes 4th. That comes off the back of the fact that there's nobody with more top 5s. It's those 4th place finishes that have put him in this position. He only has 1 win on the season to Joseph Newgarden's 4.
And if Newgarden hadn't lost the spot to McLaughlin in that highlight we just showed, Newgarden would only be 7 points back. So Will Power should be thankful, because it's all about that championship lead at this point in the season.
And it was interestingly enough, it was 4th place finishes that ended up putting him in the lead after the Indianapolis 500. First 5 races, he had 2 thirds and 3 fourths. You know, it was that consistency, that early season consistency that got him going. The Indy 500 didn't go to plan for Power, but it was that early season right up there in the top 5, either on the podium or just off it, that really put him in good shape.
A lot of artsy shots here. It's almost like love songs from Time Life Music.
It is. You see every vehicle on the property is out there trying to run around and dry up a racing line. You see the sun is shining. I don't know, that Penske radar may have been a bit biased. I'm not sure.
They nailed it. Look at that. Gorgeous.
But it's still raining. You can
Still
see
raining,
it's still coming down quite a bit.
Yeah, but the sun's shining.
So let's go. Giddy up.
You're such an optimist.
Pitter patter. Let's get at her.
Quick break. We'll come back and we'll try and endeavour to speak to some drivers. Stay with us. So that shot there shows us the rain has eased here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. However, there has been lightning strikes within 8 miles of the venue, and that means that there is a 30-minute countdown clock from the last lightning strike. And that's what we are in right now. So let's make use of that time. Let's join Kevin Lee and one of the drivers who may be on the verge of his career best result.
So we've moved inside with safety. David Malukas right now sits 5th in this race. So what's your vote? Call it good enough for your best career finish, or go out and see if you can do better?
I say, I mean, I would like to go out. You know, we have, I'd say, around 17 lap newer tires than the 2 cars in front. And I mean, even right when the yellow was coming out there, I had a little bit of a run on power. So I do think we have a really good car. So I'd really like to get those last 40 laps in. But like I said, hopefully, I mean, I don't know how long the wait is, but if it goes too late, then we have to call it.
And the yellow came out right after you had made your last stop, and we were saying if somehow you could have stretched the fuel another couple of laps, so how close was it? How much did you have to come in?
Yeah, so, I mean, we could have held on for probably one more lap, but, you know, our whole strategy was to just push. We had so much extra fuel and trying to get as many spots as we could and have that clean air to kind of cut the gap because, you know, we don't know when it's going to rain. And if we would have, you know, we probably could have went on map 6, saved a bit of fuel for 3 laps and could have, you know, managed to keep it out when that red flag came out, which, yeah, it hurts a little bit. We were 2 laps away, but, you know, all in all, it was still it was a lot of fun and a good run.
Did I hear you singing during a green flag stint? Not under caution, under green, on an oval where you're going about 175 miles per hour. Are you okay?
Yeah, no, so, well, we had to do massive fuel saving, and it kind of just ended up where, like, the whole field was just follow the leader, and the gap was just staying the same behind. It was staying the same in front, and everybody had to hit this fuel target, so it ended up kind of getting dragged out. So, you know, since we were going in circles, this song just came in my head. I was just spinning right round, right. So I decided to start singing and lift everybody's spirits, and then they said, like, okay, well, you could also push if you're bored, and I was like, well, I'm trying, but I can't, so I'd rather just save fuel.
So safe to say you're figuring oval racing out. You were pretty good at Texas, pretty strong in Indy, the top rookie there. You finished 8th at Iowa.
Yeah, I honestly, every single oval that we go to, I just love it that much more, and I just have so much fun and just timing moves, and it's just such a, I don't know, brain excitement, if I can explain it that way. There's just so much going on and trying to set everything up, and it's all just because, you know, we have a really good car. I mean, Sato's right behind me. I don't know what happened to him, but it seemed like he was on for, you know, being a leader. I'm not too sure what happened there, but, you know, like I said, the team's very good.
Well done. Nice run. We'll see if it's 5th or if you get a chance to maybe do a little bit better in just a little bit. Thanks.
Thank you. Either way, I'm happy.
David Malukas.
And folks, just keep in mind that young fellow there is only 20. He is mature beyond his years, and if positions and things were to remain as they are right now, David Malukas shaves a whopping 20 points out of Christian Lundgaard's Rookie of the Year lead.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that gap open up 2 rounds ago. I guess 3 rounds ago we went in and it was only a handful of points, single digits. Then that podium from Christian Lundgaard at the Gallagher Grand Prix, followed up by another strong race at Nashville. It swelled up to over 40 points. But now with Christian Lundgaard currently ranked in 19th position, David Malukas up on track for a top 5. You see it come down. It just shows you how quick it can change, Townsend.
And I just think, okay, down the stretch, who's got the advantage? Lundgaard did run. Did he run Portland last year? I got to remember. Showed up at Indy, ran Portland. Not sure about Laguna.
Yeah, I think.
So he would have IndyCar experience there.
He might have run all 3 of those.
Looking at Russ Lundgaard.
Right,
just Indy.
No, just Indy.
So
maybe it was Eilert that did the 3.
Eilert did the 3. Thanks, Russ. And for Lundgaard, then doesn't have the track knowledge. Malukas would have it presumably in Indy Lights. So tough to say. Lundgaard's come on really strong. It'll be fun to watch that battle down the stretch.
So from the leading rookie in this race to the leader of the race, here's Scott McLaughlin with Kev.
So I don't know, is this a victory lane interview or not? Have you won this race?
Relax. Yeah, no, I'm just chilling out. I'm not gonna lie. I might be doing a rain dance, might not be, but no. Look, at the end of the day, I'm very proud of the Odyssey Battery Chevy today, man. Like, it's been unreal, and you know, anytime you get to race Joseph on a short oval, it's it's a good feat. And you know, I lost a few spots. You know, he went around the outside. He was a bit braver than me, but we managed to catch him back up, and then the exchange we got him back there. So really proud of our day so far. Proud of the crew. Great pit stops, and you know, hopefully we can finish it off. If not, we're in a good spot if it doesn't get going again.
So you and Joseph went off strategy from Will at one point in the race, and you came in under a yellow. And everybody said there's no tire degradation. It doesn't matter that much with new Firestones. And then you and Joseph rocketed to the front of the field. What was that like with the new tires, racing people on 25-lap older tires?
It was really fun. But I'd hate to be in their shoes, to be honest, but it was a lot of fun. That second lane is working a lot more than I thought. I know I said to you before the start of the race, I didn't know if it was going to work, but it's certainly working a lot more. Once you get up there and you get a feel for it, it certainly works. So that helped, but yeah, we're in the lead now. We've just got to make sure that I just lock in, execute, and do whatever we need to do to win this race, at least get the most points we can, because we're in a really good point situation right now.
Last pit stop, you come in behind Joseph. I think he got caught behind someone a little bit and slowed his in-lap a little bit. Were you surprised at all to find yourself out in front of him after that sequence ended?
No, I felt like we have been really good on the exchanges, especially all year. My crew has been unreal. The 33s, they're doing unreal stops all year, but, it's Penske against Penske there. So between the guys and girls on the team, it's pretty personal, right? But it's, I knew that we were going to be close. I looked at the big screen coming down the straight, and I saw that he was coming out. I'm like, oh, come on. And we just managed to get past him here. So I didn't think I was going to get him here, and then I got him there. And I was like, oh, you beauty. So, yeah, pretty happy with that. But, there's still a lot more racing to go if we get going.
This is your 9th oval race, so in the 8 that have completed, you've been in the top 4 times. We talked about that this week. Let's talk about it some more. How have you taken to ovals so much? Not only had you not driven Formula cars before last year, no oval racing.
Yeah, I said to you, it's a blank sheet of paper for me. I've got great teammates, I've got a great team. They say do this, I do it, and I trust my ability to get up to speed as quick as I can. But, having good machinery and good cars and good people around you is massive. And, that's a testament to them, why I'm up to speed so quickly. But, there's things that I'm still learning, getting confidence to run the high line, be one of the first up there. That's where Joseph and Will are really strong with that, and experiment probably a little bit more. But I'm proud of my development, but I've got a long way to go, and I'll just keep working as hard as I can to make sure we're one of the best, hopefully, in the near future.
And you told me the iRacing, the sim racing, really did play a part.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it, but I did a lot of iRacing, and I put a lot of that down. I did a lot of ovals on the IndyCar side, and just get an idea of timing and working the dirty air and a few things. Yeah, it may not have exactly the same tire deg and a few things, but for the fundamentals, it gave me a good idea before I came IndyCar racing. And it wasn't just the IndyCar challenge we did in the pandemic. It was a countless amount of other laps I did with a lot of my friends down under. So it's a great system.
If we go racing again, what is the track going to be like? Not only a green track, but it's going to be totally dark, something that we haven't really seen this time around.
Yeah, just bolt the clear visor on, mate, and just send it. I don't know. I'll just go feel it. What can you do? It's the same for everyone. I'll be the first one going in turn 1. I'll just lay it on the cush and hope it gets through.
I like that. Let's just send it. That's the plan if we go racing again. If not, Scott McLaughlin will be quite content. We may talk to him again here in just a little bit, officially with a victory interview, but not so fast.
Yeah, we'll see. And there's also a great sign of a champion there, of which he already is in a different category of racing, but saying that he's just getting going here, still learning lots, still got a lot more to learn. He's very humble and still very driven.
No question. And this season, McLaughlin, started with a bang. Bit of a hiccup at the midpoint of the season at the Indy GP and at the Indy 500, Detroit, and then just came right back on it. Never lost focus. And he talks about the equipment and the people, James, and the confidence that he's had behind him, and they've put him right back into the conversation. 43 points out as he sits right now, in with a shot, I'd say. A long shot, but in with a shot. If he were to win today with 2 races left, he could pull off an unexpected upset in the championship.
Well, look, regardless of what happens, I think you can say that the year-over-year progression of Scott McLaughlin has been meteoric. He came here certainly with high expectations, had flashes of certainly the speed we know he's got through his rookie season, but this year came out of the gate swinging, like you said, that win from Poland, St. Pete, backed it up with another win in Mid-Ohio. If he were to win his 3rd race of the season here, that would just be absolutely incredible. And
he joked that he wasn't very brave like Newgarden, but watch this, 4 wide on the start.
Yeah, on that restart with the fresh tires. Yeah, Joseph was maybe braver on the high line, but he certainly had the bravery down the inside into turn 1, and No, it's just been awesome to see, especially that speed on the ovals. His first IndyCar podium came at Texas in his rookie season. Nearly got the win at Texas this year.
But Diff, it's not like he's learning to win for the first time.
No,
it's not like he's
not.
learning on how to manage a championship for the first time. He's been doing that for the years. But what he has learned is IndyCar driving technique, kind of circuit knowledge over here, and now it's all coming together just perfectly.
So the Air Titans are out drying Worldwide Technology Raceway. We haven't had anything official from IndyCar, but we're just painting, by numbers. The pictures tell the story. The covers are off the cars in pit lane, so that's promising. And here are the Air Titans, still technically under that half-an-hour countdown clock from the Lightning. So, but we do have another driver to talk to, and that driver is also in the top 10 at the moment. That is Team RLL's Graham Rahal.
This has become the gathering spot. We've got several drivers in a queue here, and one of those is Graham Rahal, who sits 9th right now. I got to believe you're one of those hoping that the sunshine continues to peek through and we dry things out. You might have a bit of an advantage over some.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good. I think the iPacket car has been really solid tonight. I think it's honestly one of the best I've felt, on an oval in a long, long time, and feel really good. And and the boys done a great job in the pits. So, I think we missed that rain by about 25 seconds. Otherwise, we'd be doing the rain dance right now. But ultimately, if it does go backward, fresh tires, and hopefully we can make a run at it.
So how much of an advantage will that be? There are 3 or 4 that their tires are already 25 laps old and are going to have to save fuel.
Yeah, I feel good. As I was just saying to the peanut gallery, Mr. Power sitting over here, they're probably too far ahead. There's a lot of lap cars between them and us. But I do have Dixie right with me. Pelot's right behind me. I think Ericsson's right ahead of Dixie. So there are some cars there that are, within, striking distance of us. So that'll be good. I will say Takuma and David have been very strong. I remember with Takuma for a while there. He's got good pace, so that'll be a battle to get by him. But I feel good. As I said, the iPacket guys have done a great job. Our cars have been really solid this weekend, and unfortunately our qualifying is going to hurt us again, I think, ultimately. But we found some good stuff in final practice, and it's working today.
All right, thank you, Graham. We'll see if we can get back on track here just a little bit, and we'll have more drivers coming up in a moment.
Feeling positive, Graham Rahal, currently 9th at the moment as the Air Titans are out, drying this 1.25 mile track as the sun starts to set. At least it's not raining anymore, which is a positive sign.
The other cool thing with the Air Titans, that shot we showed a couple minutes ago from the Toyota Tundras there, the amount of rubber that gets pushed off with the moisture makes a perfectly clean racetrack. So those things are incredibly powerful. And I'm optimistic.
Well, the shower, it was a pretty severe downpour that we had about 1 o'clock local earlier this afternoon. The track dried incredibly quick after that. All right, you saw Will Power getting ready there. He's standing by with Kevo.
Yeah, welcome to my impromptu variety show here. Our next guest is Will Power. All right, it looked like you were in control of this race, so let's go back to when it changed for you. What was the situation?
Yeah, it was that yellow. Actually, I thought the yellow would help us, but yeah, the team didn't tell me the number that we would have to get if we didn't pit. So if they told me what it was, I would have said, no, we should pit. But is what it is, and we're trying to make the most out of the situation. If we can finish P4, it's really good. That's definitely the goal here. Yeah.
I remember you said specifically yesterday morning, top 4s can win a championship. You would still be the championship leader.
That's right. Yep. If we can maintain that position and have a good restart, we'll see what we got. We'll see what we got. Got some quick guys behind us. We also got, I think Dixon and Ericsson have to save quite a bit of fuel. Malukas and Sato can go. So we'll see how this all plays out.
I know your focus after yesterday was on the race and the championship, but you're not racing for the moment, so we'll ask you again because there's a very significant number still on the horizon. The next race will give you an opportunity for pole number 68. Yeah. What did number 67 mean to you yesterday to tie Mario Andretti?
Amazing. Yeah, it's something I never thought I would get to in my career. It wasn't even something that was on my mind until I think I reached about 60. I thought that it was possible, but to be up there with Mario Andretti, an absolute legend of the sport and someone that I look up to massively, is just surreal.
If this can go back green again, you came in on lap 194, so we've got a couple of caution laps. Is there any concern of being able to get home? Did that caution make it a little bit easier to not have to save too much to get to 260?
Yeah, the caution did make it easier. So I'm hoping that they spend a lot. You know, we get a few warm-up laps. I'm going to go. You know, race control needs to give us 4 warm-up laps.
But you're going to have people with fresher tires right behind you, like Graham Rahal we just saw, like Sato, like Malukas. Yeah. Were you a little bit surprised what fresh Firestones did for McLaughlin and Newgarden?
Not when I saw the number that I had to get. Like, you're lifting at the start-finish line.
So it was fuel save as well as...
Otherwise, they wouldn't have come past. Okay. If you didn't have to save fuel, which I thought was the case, yeah, you would just take off. But when you're lifting at start-finish line to get that number, yes, they're just going to drive by you. And, yep, that was... It just... You don't get the fuel that you get on a road course over a lap. Like, I really thought that we'd whittle it down to a pretty easy number, but that's not the case. So, I think we can we're at a pretty good number now. I think from here we can run at a reasonable pace and hopefully maintain that position.
All right, I'll let you go back to weather watching. Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
Sitting fourth right now, Will Power, the championship leader, also as things stand.
Thoughts on those comments, guys?
Yeah, you know, I got to be honest. It's he brings up such a good point about how difficult it is to hit a fuel number here. When you think about a rotor street track, Townsend, you're off the throttle a lot, going into brake zones through, you know, the twisty sections of the racetrack. At an oval like this, you're on the throttle for 90% of the lap. So trying to find that time to be off the throttle and save that fuel is very difficult. As he said, these drivers are lifting off at start-finish line to try to hit the number. It's a huge, huge challenge for these drivers.
My takeaway, Diff, is all those drivers we just spoke to, they're in high alert mode. They are They are ready to pounce. Everybody wants to get back out on the racetrack, save for maybe McLaughlin. But, you know, I think Malukas, Sato, you know, even Will Power with a shot to make something happen, 43 laps to go. It'd be a lot of fun to get this thing refired.
And how about that history-equaling pole position from Will Power? Mario isn't here this weekend, but he did tweet yesterday. He's tied now, but he'll break the record because he wants it bad and knows how to do it. A couple of the best to ever drive an IndyCar there, and they're locked on 67 pole positions. Synonymous with the city of St. Louis, the Gateway Arch first started construction in 1963, completed 2.5 years later in late 65, synonymous with this city. It is so beautiful. It is so amazing. And, of course, symbolic of the westward expansion of this country, the gateway to the west. And there it is in the background. We're only about 3.5 miles from that, by the way, here at Worldwide Technology Raceway as we welcome you back. And the lights starting to take full effect here in this weather-affected race, this Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Let's take you back and walk you through some of the highlights of this race. It's only had 2 cautions, by the way. A little bit of a wobbly start at the back. It certainly wasn't at the front with Will Power taking off from pole.
Yeah, a little innocent brush of the wall for Renus VK, but it was Felix Rosenquist, the biggest mover early on. He went wide, was bold, and made up 13 positions in just a handful of laps.
What a nice comeback after having to start last on the field after a qualifying spin, and then finally after 145 laps of green flag running, the first caution comes. Compliments to Jack Harvey just getting up in the marbles, white walling it and bending the right rear toe link.
And Jack was having a good run too earlier today. He was up in the top 10, and here's a key moment of the race. Joseph Newgarden pits, Will Power stays out. And then the Verizon guys would get ready. Let's scoot ahead to lap 158. How about this? Pato O'Ward, immense bravery and skill to go around the outside of Will Power.
Super impressive. The fast hands of Pato O'Ward paying off, but then Newgarden comes back on O'Ward to the high side, and at that point opened up an 8-second gap before catching traffic. And then McLaughlin comes to pit lane just before Newgarden.
1 lap ahead of the number 2, his teammate from second. But it was the blend on the way out. Joseph was held up on his way in by Christian Lundgaard, who he's leaving pit lane there with now. On the left of your screen, Scott McLaughlin uses the undercut by 1 lap to pull ahead of his teammate, Joseph Newgarden.
And then the rain came, where the race would be red flagged, and it brings us to where we are now. This was right as the rain started to fall quite lightly, and it came down heavier, and there was some local lightning, so everybody was forced to take cover and get into a safe area. But things are turning, and the weather is working back in our favor. You can see the covers are off the race cars on pit lane, and the Air Titans out there doing the amazing job that they do to dry this racing surface.
Still a fair bit of moisture there coming off the surface, but an absolutely stunning Midwestern sunset there.
Yeah, if only that sun was a little bit higher, it could help dry the racetrack out, because you can see the amount of moisture coming up still significant. Their Air Titans are doing a great job. And also, as you can see, to clean the marbles off the track, this is going to be kind of the cleanest racetrack these drivers have had yet so far this weekend. So who do you think is going to be bravest on the restart?
Everyone. We saw 4 wide already.
We did.
Might see 5 wide on this one, Div.
I don't know if we can physically do that one. McLaughlin sort of pushed the limits there, made it work, getting 3 positions in one go down into turn 1 on that last restart. But I don't know. It's going to be a tough call.
Well, let's take a walk down memory lane. Let's take you back to 2019, the year that Takuma Sato was victorious here. Have a look. Have a listen.
To the inside. Huge crash. Hunter-Ray. Sato. Oh, no, and Rossi is in it.
Car upside down. Sato's car. Sato's out. Great news.
We all learn from that, and we move on. I'm really looking forward to this weekend.
It's time to bring the action.
Takuma Sato on the left. These are the cars that got together at Pocono in that big accident. They touch. Sato saves it.
Oh! Bourdais spins.
Sato, Kanan, and Carpenter all benefited. They got lucky and pitted under yellow.
You are the leader, Takuma.
What can Ed Carpenter do with 4 laps to go? How fast is he going to close on Sato?
The checkered flag is waiting. Is it Sato? Is it Carpenter? It's going to be close. It's Takuma Sato.
Yeah! Nice job, Takuma.
The team made this happen. The last couple of days, it was tough. We kept going, head down, did our job.
From a lap 1 crash at Pocono to victory. That is a comeback. That was a wild ride. That was a wild ride. And what a win. And Sato has been in the mix today. He sits 6th at the moment. He led this race for 22 laps earlier this evening. And if we go back racing, which all the conditions are pointing towards that, he's going to be one to watch.
Pace cars ready and in position. The Air Titans continue to dry things up. I mean, 43 laps, James. This is not exactly a 5-lap shootout. I mean, there's a lot that can happen. It gives the chance for the leader, McLaughlin, to catch lap traffic, the tail end of the lead lap. There's only 1 car out of the race. Alexander Rossi is still towards the front of the queue, even though he's 19 laps down. They were able to get his car back out there, and he's not exactly going to just move over and let people by. So I think with as much as there is left in this race, once the leader, if it is McLaughlin, catches the tail end of the lead lap, a lot of cars with fresher tires behind them, it could get very racy back there.
The thing for me is, you know, the amount of laps that we have left, especially for the guys with newer tires, it's not quite enough to stint out a set. And so you're gonna have that lull in the middle of this run. The first few laps of this restart are going to be absolutely crucial, and the tires are fresh. Everybody's bunched together. You're still getting up to speed. Then I think we are going to see maybe a bit of a calmer situation for maybe sort of 20 laps in the middle there, and then everybody absolutely putting everything on the line for those last 5 to 10. But it's going to be it's not a short shootout, but it's still in essence a bit of a shootout.
You can see just how much wind is still in the area there with the car cover and the rear wing of Scott McLaughlin's car. So that's going to help aid the track drying in addition to the Air Titans for sure.
In the pit lane, as you can see on the big screens here, the lightning hold has expired. Nonetheless, we are still under red flag condition. Track drying efforts continue.
We'll take every piece of positivity we can at the moment, and good news that the lightning hold has been lifted, and that's why you're seeing more personnel down behind pit lane. And as everybody is looking skyward, and hey, Helio Castro Neves always smiles, so he's remaining positive that we can get going here sometime in the near future with the Air Titans doing the best that they can. Again, the lightning hold has been lifted, and people can come back out from safer locations, and cross all of our fingers that we're going to get to do these final 43 laps. The Air Titans are doing a phenomenal job. As we get a weather report from Kevin Lee, who is out there at the moment. Kevo?
So I just got back out to pit lane. As you mentioned, the lightning hold is cleared, and I see some gray on pit lane. The dryers are out here, so that's a good thing. Look at this. We got dry pavement right over here. It's still a little bit wet, so we're not ready to go yet, but it's fully gray there, and I'll try not to get run over by one of the trucks at this point. But I'm not great at giving you a timeline, but maybe we're 20-30 minutes away from thinking about it. Probably more on the 30+ side, but drivers are out here, so that's a good sign. There's a nice breeze, and some friends on the track as well, checking out to see whether they're ready to go or not. Well, he's better at telling you whether the track is dry than I am. But it looks like we see some gray, and hopefully we see more racing in a little bit.
Yep, working away as efficiently, as effectively as they can, but also don't forget about pit in, pit out, the apron. There is still a lot of work for those air dryers to do, but you can see in the foreground there, to Kevin's point about the patches of grey on the track and how effective those air dryers are. So we started the day talking about the Championship 7, and the focus is still very much on those Championship 7. One of those drivers is Marcus Ericsson.
And he runs in the 7th spot right now, and getting the Bryant suit put up, and good-looking race car today. So last time you were in this car, you won. How do you feel about your chances here if we go back racing here with 43 to go?
Yeah, I think the car has been pretty good. We've just been a bit sort of, I don't know, it hasn't really worked out with our stops, and sort of, I don't know, the stops have been good, but it's just been, one of those days where I haven't really been going the way we wanted. So been falling back a bit. I think the car itself feels pretty good out there, but it's just not been going our way really. So it's a bit frustrating, but I really hope we can restart, because like I said, I think the car is good. So if we can get out there and go for it with 40 to go, I think it'll be pretty exciting and good racing, and I think we can hopefully make some spots in the end of the race then.
Explain to the people watching at home, when you race for 200 laps around here and then rain comes, it washes off all the rubber, all the work that they did in the second lane yesterday. What is the level of anticipation like when you just send it off into turn number 1 on this restart when you go back green here?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, I would say. But you just have to sort of try and figure out the grip level on the sort of pace laps, and then see where it's at. The track's going to be reset, and they might shift some things around, and some cars might be better than others, and I think it'll be really interesting. So yeah, I really hope that. We're obviously drying the track up, and as long as there's no more rain, we're going to get some good racing here tonight.
All right, thank you, Marcus.
Staying positive, Marcus Ericsson, who is at the moment is 21 points adrift. But of course, the highlight not only of this year, the highlight of this Swedish driver's career, Memorial Day weekend this year, when he not only led, but won the greatest spectacle in racing with unbelievably defensive driving like that.
And that was after a long red flag delay where Ericsson really needed to keep his mental fortitude together. But all about the milk for the Swede in the end. He conquered Indy. I think that's why he's excited to get going, because it's a reversal role. Back then, James, it was all mirrors. It was all defense. And as Ericsson sits in 7th right now, he can go on the attack. He seems so comfortable on the ovals now. Did a brilliant job in qualifying. And we've had that conversation with Marcus. Is this defense to the championship win, or when do you start attacking? It feels like Ericsson's coming to this weekend with a real attack mentality as he finds himself fourth in the points.
Yeah, I mean the qualifying run, like you said, incredibly impressive. And he said, I mean, you can kind of see it. He hasn't really been on the right lap of those different strategies that have played out. It's not necessarily they've called anything grossly wrong. It's just the early pit stop that maybe helped one car they weren't quite on, or vice versa. But I think, yeah, he's comfortable in the car. I think a lot of drivers are going to be ready to explore that high line now that we know it's as clean as it's ever going to be once we get restarted. And there's Romain Grosjean. Looks like he's making his way back out to pit lane. That could be a good sign.
And that is exactly where we saw Helio Castro-Neves. We told you the news earlier in the broadcast. He has re-signed with Meyer Shank Racing. Dylan Welsh, he'll be around in 2023.
He will be, and obviously very excited. He's admiring all the fans here at Romain Grosjean, his new threads. Your threads look good. The pink looks good on you.
Right. I mean, I think they went to the motorhome, changed the racing suits, put a fresh one. Are you allowed to do that? Or
I don't know. You make the rules. Are you allowed to?
I don't make the rules, trust me. But first I want to say hello to Micaela, Adriana, and amor. I'm sure they're in the swimming pool or someplace out there. And but now it's look, wow. What a race, right? And the oval start raining now, all of a sudden changing. Man, my car in the traffic is so difficult, so difficult. It's like, but by myself, which is not very hard to find a clear lap, it's amazing. So we keep like finding ways to do it, changing front wing, but anyway, it is what it is. It looks like we're gonna go green again. Let's see how it goes.
All right, so we're going to talk to you on TV now about your extension and the fact that you're going to be racing for Meyer Shank Racing again next year. How excited are you to get this year done and then have a full year with these guys and go again next year?
Are we talking on TV before? No?
What's that?
You said we're going to talk on TV. I was like, well, I thought we didn't talk before.
Well, I meant we've been on Peacock all week, so now we're going to be on TV and we're going to talk about it.
My bad. Now, look, I'm super excited to be with an amazing organization. Hold on.
It's going to get blown away here.
I'm super excited to be with this amazing organization. It makes a lot of sense, with AutoNation, Sirius XM, Arctic Wolf, Clopay, Honda, all our partners, because what we're building this year, people don't realize, come on, sometimes what's happening, why not so much to the front? It takes time. These teams, a lot of the guys, even the rookies, the teams are being built up for a long time. This group of guys here, especially the 06, they started this year, a bunch of them, and they do a superb job. But it takes time. It's just like any other company that when you put it in, sometimes you lose money on the first year, and you might break even the second. So we're really looking forward for next year. And if you want to win the number 5 at Indianapolis, we got to continue what we started. And so looking forward for 2023, looking forward for this race, of course. And can't wait to go back out there.
All right, I'll let you get back to it here so we don't get blown away again. Thanks, Helio.
Like the economics lesson there from Helio Castro-Neves. Sounds like a small business owner.
Well, business has been good for Meyer Shank because of that guy and what he did by winning that 4th Indianapolis 500 last year. Incredible. And then himself, Simon Pagenaud, and the guys went on to win the Rolex 24 at Daytona earlier this year to kick the season off. It was an amazing period of just over half a year for Mike Shank and Jim Meyer to win the Indy 500, then back it up and win the Rolex 24 at Daytona. So Helio ready to go. He's 17th, right behind his teammate Simon Pagenaud as we sit here right now.
And there's a great working partnership between Helio and his teammate Pagenaud. Very professional, but also a fierce rivalry. Somebody always wants to be top dog weekend to weekend, lap to lap, and with those two starting nose to tail, restarting nose to tail, could be fun to watch the Sirius XM, the AutoNation cars there go at it as Pato Award is debriefing with his engineers, and a lot of movement on pit lane, which is good to see. Clear visor goes on as day turns to night.
I was impressed with David Malukas when Kevin asked him before, would you be happy to park it here? He said, no. I've got a good car. I've got fresh tires. I've got plenty of fuel. I want to get back out there, and I'm not just going to settle for this 5th that I've got right now. I want to go out there and try and improve. That's a tremendous outlook for a 20-year-old rookie.
Yeah, I love it. A 20-year-old rookie sitting on what would be his best finish and he still wants to go out and go for more. He said, yeah, I had a run on Will Power. Let's go back out there.
Somebody who's been a little quieter than we thought today was a guy who dominated the race last year. That's Colton Herter in the Gainbridge Honda. He's standing by with Dylan.
We're making our way down pit road, and we found Colton. So I've been listening to your radio today, and I know the car hasn't been exactly where you wanted it to be. Do you feel like you guys have been able to take some time here and maybe figure out what you need to do if you're able to come back down and make some changes on it?
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be enough. We only really have front wing to work with, so we're going to try to find a balance of what we can do with the tools in the car and maybe some tire pressure adjustment and front wing. Obviously, it's less than ideal, but they put me on a really good strategy before that caution came out. I'm not sure how it's going to play out now. I'm not sure if Ericsson, Dixon, and Pillow are going to stop again or what's going to happen, but either way, if we can work our way into the top 10, hopefully get our lap back. But yeah, excited right now to hopefully get this thing back on the road shortly and get back in the car.
I asked Marcus Ericsson the same question. When it rains like this, you guys have 217 laps of rubber laid down here. You had all the practice yesterday. What's it like going down there into turn number 1 and just having to trust that even on the bottom groove maybe that there's not as much grip as there was when you were last out there?
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit like a reset, which is kind of going to be good because a lot of guys are getting used to the high line, so maybe some guys will just jump up there immediately and use it, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so far, we need a little bit more speed in the car, but it's not been awful. Because I don't know what I hit there, hit something. But yeah, I'm enjoying the race. Short oval racing in IndyCar is a lot of fun.
Thank you, Colton.
Good stuff to hear from the Andretti Autosport driver. Just got word that at some stage between 8 local and 8:05, 3 crew members will be able to go out to the car, fire the cars up, warm them up in anticipation and preparation for this Bommarito Automotive Group 500 resuming. No fixed time on that resumption because the track drivers are still working flat out to achieve that objective. But the crew will be able to go out, some members of the crew will be able to go out onto pit lane and warm those cars up within the next 10 minutes.
Get your paintbrush and watercolors out, James. There's some magic going on in the sky right now. Look at that.
That doesn't look real. You're right. It looks absolutely incredible. Wow. That is a nice look right there. It looks like it's CGI'd.
There's a lot going on there.
Like I said, I wish a little bit of that sunlight was still hitting the racetrack so we could dry it up a little bit quicker. You see they're still quite damp in pit lane there beside where the cars are. They're going to have to run some of the dryers down here as well to make sure the whole surface is clear. But this is an interesting time as a driver, Townsend. As you know, I mean, you're sitting there, you're waiting, you're not sure if you're going to go, when you're going to go. You're trying to stay loose, but you're trying to stay in the right mindset. It's always a tough situation when you're in one of these conditions.
Yeah, also for the engineers, because there's the stress of just refiring the car, right? You've had moisture, cars have been at max temperature, now they've cooled way down, and there's that moment of truth when they plug the starters in to just make sure that no electronic gremlins have crept into the equation after all of the different conditions.
Take Detroit last year, Will Power after the red flag. Car just did not fire while leading. So yeah, it's nerve-wracking all around for sure.
Saw a quick shot there of Michael Andretti before, the 1999 winner, who in fact beat Elio Castroneves that year to the victory. There's Michael. So wondering what these final 43 laps will yield for his drivers. Alexander Rossi had that misfortune earlier, which was a real bummer. Quick reminder that the NASCAR Cup Series is on USA tomorrow. It's classic Watkins Glen International, one of the best road courses in the world. We'll find out who rules that road tomorrow at 3 Eastern on USA. And we're going to show you the playoff standings entering Watkins Glen. We're getting very close to the playoffs, and it's pretty tense if you're either Ryan Blaney or Martin Truex Jr. One on the inside, one on the outside. So that's going to be very interesting. And again, unfortunately, our old pal Kurt Busch not partaking in this race, just recovering from that crash at Pocono. And then a real international flavour with a variety of guest drivers in the Watkins Glen race, including Formula One world champion Kimi Räikkönen. Let's go to the pits.
Well, Joseph Newgarden is not going to be able to hear us now because it timed out perfectly as the jet dryers came by. So we're just going to pause. Okay, we're good. Do you feel like this is fresh life? You know, you probably felt like I was in position to win, frustration, but now you get to go again with a really good race car. What's your mindset here coming back and getting another go at it?
It's just been good to be here. Obviously, with the PPG car, it's been fast, and I think Team Chevy has done a really great job for us, as you've seen all night. Our fuel mileage has been absolutely excellent, so I'm really happy that we've got Chevy behind us as always. Good power and reliability as well. So, you know, we got a lot of racing left for tonight. We'll see where we're at.
So when you had those fresh tires and just rocketed by everybody, what are you thinking at that point? And what was your confidence level in the race?
Yeah, it was a great call, I think, by everybody here in the 2-car. You know, obviously the right call. So I was surprised more people didn't come with us. But, you know, the car's been really good to drive. That helps always. It makes my job easier. And, you know, when they make good calls like that, it also helps too. So, yeah, just excited to get going here again. But it's a long way to go. Let's see.
Did you get held up on the in-lap for your last stop?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. He wants to go after it again, but you know that's a good race car. We could be in for an awesome finish here in a few minutes, Dylan.
And kept Devlin DeFrancesco at the other end of pit road's been having a great day and a great weekend for this rookie contender for Andretti Autosport. So let's talk about the weekend. Best qualifying effort. You've been racing really well. What's it been like for you? Do you feel like the racecraft and everything that it takes time to learn in the IndyCar series is kind of starting to all make sense for you now?
For sure. I think if you look at our pattern the last few races, the speed has been getting much better. You know, qualifying in Nashville, we had a bit of a braking issue, but I think our speed there was strong until, you know, we had that incident in the race. And this weekend here, we've been strong in qualifying, you know, very on nip and tuck with Grosjean, you know, second quickest Andretti in qualifying. We were very strong in our first stint. We were running P8 for a lot of the first stint. I don't think the yellows fell our way, which is very, very frustrating, but, you know, try and get a good, strong position, do the best I can, and we'll review it internally after and see what we can do better for next time, because, you know, going backwards it's not fun, but, you know, the boys have done a good job, so we just got to keep working on it.
You were able to test here just last week. How valuable was that for you just from a comfort level standpoint to be able to unload here yesterday and be good right out of the box?
Extremely important. It was very helpful. I mean, I think, you know, me and all the 29 crew are really starting to gel together now, and you know, my relationship with my engineer, Andy Listis, has constantly been improving, and I think him and I are really clicking now, and our progress seems to keep going. We don't seem to really regress anymore, so I think from the very first lap that we turned here, when we tested here, and now we've just been improving and improving, so hopefully we'll keep carrying that on for the last, after today, the last 2 races of the season.
You run 15th right now, so if we get back going, it looks like there's 4 other cars in front of you that are on the same lap as you, so what's the goal for these next 43 laps or 40 laps, whatever it is, when we go back green?
You know, we're on the 3-stop. I think this does help with the number we'll probably have to hit, but go fast, pass cars, and hit a fuel number.
All right, simple as that. Thank you, Devlin.
And we'll see not only Devlin DeFrancesco, but everybody else go for it as well. Just one car out of this Bommarito Automotive Group 500 as we get closer and closer to resuming racing. Truly under the lights now here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and Race Control has informed the teams they can now fully and freely approach their respective race cars in preparation for the resumption of the Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Still some work to do on track drying, as you can see. So while that goes on, let's wind back the clock to Iowa Speedway, where it was such an amazing weekend for Pato O'Ward.
Green, green, green.
Look at up top at Pato O'Ward trying to make that third lane work.
Keep digging, inside.
Great start.
Pato O'Ward crushing it on his in lap.
Through that pit exchange, Pato has taken second place.
Yellow, 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 get low, get low, get low.
Catch your breath here. You'll be the leader. That was Newgard. There it is, baby. Checkered flag. Nice job.
Start number 50 for Pato O'Ward is win number 4.
Nice job.
Way to go, boys. Awesome weekend. Let's go.
It's always nice to relive some wins. Pato O'Ward winner at the most recent oval race. So that's always nice, isn't it? You go back and relive some moments like that.
It is, man. I think we've had a great year so far. There's been a lot of races where we just haven't had the luck, right? And I'm looking forward to the 43-lap shootout. It's been a good day so far. We've passed everybody on track that was in front of us. So yeah, I'm excited to see what we can pull off and see if we can move forward and take home a W.
We saw you early in the race make that move for the lead on the outside, or go past Power, I should say, on the outside. What is your level of expectation for the grip in this outside lane when we go back green here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just gonna have to scout it out and see what it is, and let my butt be the judge. But you know, everybody is just so compact, and everybody's performance is really, really close together. So the things that you can do in order to not catch out, you know, not catch somebody out, but I guess if you can feel it out before they can, and you can realize that there's grip somewhere where they don't know, that's the only way that you're gonna get by them, because it's too close. It's too close in order to just be like, oh, I'm gonna go by you.
Your position in the points, how does that change your approach, or how does that impact your approach? Are you worried at all about points, or are you just strictly about wins at this point in the year?
I want to win. I have nothing to lose. I'm 59 points back, but honestly for me, 4th, 5th, or 6th, or 7th in the championship is worthless. So we either go for wins or we bust.
All right, this guy will be fun to watch when we go back green here in a little bit, Kev.
And Romain Grosjean was certainly fun to watch here, passing everybody high and low in his first oval race last year. And for a little while on strategy, I thought you might have a chance to win the race. Did you too?
Yeah, they kept telling me it's looking really good. It's looking really good. We extended the first stint quite a bit, the second stint as well. So we were on the 3 stops, and very, very rare few people were on 3 stops today. So it looked really good, but yellow and the rain just, I think, killed us on that strategy. So with 12, there's few guys in front of us that may be in trouble before the end of the race. So hopefully we can go to those 3 spots, but I don't think it's a win tonight.
So 12th right now, a lap down, but there is a position to what? Maybe pick up another 3, 4, 5 spots. What do you need to happen to finish the race to best maximize your opportunity?
Yeah, I think we need the 3 Ganassis in front of us are a little bit in trouble, marginal on fuel, so they're probably going to try to save a lot of fuel, but their pace may drop a lot, and if I can catch them and pass them, that would be those spots, or if they pit. But we're going to try, we're going to see. We've got a good car. It's not as good as some of the guys at the front, but it's pretty good, so hopefully we with all the cleaning, the high line will work for a few laps, so that's opened the overtaking possibility, and let's see where we are.
And there might be some attrition too. How aggressive do you think everyone will be with added confidence of a clean track, darkness, more downforce?
Yeah, no, the conditions will be different. It's much cooler. It's a very clean track, so yes, there's going to be some opportunities early on.
All right, thanks, Romain.
See what Romain Grosjean can do when we go back to racing, and we have just been informed that we expect that to be in just under 35 minutes time, so 8:45 local, 9:45 p.m. Eastern is what the goal is to resume this final oval race of the season.
And the conditions continue to trend towards raceability. Ambient now 77, track temperature down to 85 after that rainfall, and that just cools things down for the tires and gives the drivers that much more grip and option in terms of spreading out and using multiple lines around here.
The track conditions in those sense, the number sense is getting better, but with that rain, all the rubber that we've had laid down over the 217 laps so far is essentially gone. And so it's still going to be a little bit like Pato O'Ward was just gesturing, a little bit slick, a little bit greasy, a little bit green until they get a few laps under speed.
I think that was just Lundgaard asking him to describe his driving style. All the time.
All the time. At all times. No matter what type of track. Both guys seem to be stretching out their hammies, getting ready to go.
And let's rejoin the guys on pit lane. Here's Dylan Welsh.
Well, let's chat with Felix Rosenqvist, who unfortunately had more ground to make up at the start of this race than he would have liked. But the first couple laps were exciting. You at least were efficient in some passes there.
Yeah, we went up to P13 after 2 laps, and yeah, I think it was kind of lucky because no one was really using the high line, and I just had a momentum going for 2 laps, and we were able to pass cars, and But from there on, it was kind of like, yeah, stagnant. Nothing really happened. Couldn't really do anything. We were actually going for one stop less than the others, which looked like it was going to work. We saved a lot of fuel, and then in the end, everything just kind of made everyone go to the same strategy. So yeah, hard to make it work, but at least we got that start to kind of get back into the mix. And I think best case scenario, we can get a Roshan here in the restart because we're one lap down. So yeah, P12 is probably going to be the maximum today.
Well, all things considered, though, is that acceptable given how it started and how the weekend started on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, on Gateway to start all the way back, I think man, any position you can get, you're happy because it's so hard to pass. But obviously, it's not where we want to be. I think we have pace for way better than that. But obviously, the mistake in qualifying put us back there. But yeah, I think at this point we're pretty happy with having moved at least half the field forward. But yeah, there's still 40 laps left to race.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Felix Rosenqvist is 13th right now, Kevin.
Alex Palou is on the lead lap in 10th. So I remember checking in before the last stops. You're running 6th, and my thought was, hey, that'll be all good. You're going to survive and advance with a chance to win the championship in the last 2 races. So now what kind of challenges are you dealing with when you pitted a little bit earlier than some others?
Yeah, no great, man, no great. We didn't start on the best way possible today. I didn't took the best decision on the first laps, but then we recovered and we fought back again. So not ideal, but we got a second chance today with that rain, with that yellow, and starting again a 43 lap sprint race. We'll give everything we have. We have to fight for it. We won this championship and we'll do everything we can.
So you've got to go 69 laps on the last tank of fuel. Now we've already had a few yellow laps. Do you need another yellow to be able to make it home after we restart?
No, not really. We are 10th. I'm the last car on the lead lap, so I believe we can pit.
Makes sense. Yeah, you'll just pit and top off and you won't lose anything. So then what does that open up for you? Because there are several in front of you that if they don't pit, they're going to have to do fuel save, and they've got older Firestones.
Yeah, I think we'll see more pits than what we expect. There's still 43 laps to go. It's going to be 40 laps to go with those yellows and stuff. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll hopefully plays out well for us, and hopefully we can take that number 10 American Legion up.
So the big question would be if you're like Pato Award or Will Power, would you pit from 3rd or 4th? Maybe not, but Marcus Ericsson, Scott Dixon, you, those are the ones that it should be a pretty easy decision.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, at least we know what the 10 car is going to do, so that's good.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It also depends on what the others do, right? But yeah, we are last on that lead lap, so we're not losing much.
Big picture question. It's I know you can't get into things, but it has been unique circumstances this year with 2 teams claiming your rights to drive for them next season. How are you dealing with this? How are you still in a fight for a championship right now?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit chaotic at the beginning, lots of talks and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, I just try and do my job, which is just to drive, steer, hit the throttle, hit the brake, and that's it. So yeah, everything will sort itself out. I don't know if in 1 week, 1 month, or whatever, but everything will be all right at the end.
Thanks, Alex, and thanks for keeping a smile on your face.
He's not going to stop fighting, that's for sure. We know that, and we showed you in a highlight reel before his resilience at Portland International Raceway, which, by the way, is the next event on this NTT IndyCar Series schedule, where he had a first turn incident and went right to the back of the field and came all the way through the field to win that race, and it was a huge part of his 2021 NTT IndyCar Series Championship. So this day started with a huge pyro and display over on the back straight. We're going to get fireworks under the lights when we resume at about 8:45 local time, 9:45 East Coast time, for 43 laps to get going. This is what I was talking about. Look to the left. Watch to the left. Boom.
Not even sure what the fireworks menu says. Like, what box is that they tick? It's just a raw fuel burn on the back straightaway, Hinch.
I think it's just some leftover nitro from the drag race that was here, last time it was here.
Gotta love it.
It looked great.
Good to see all the cars lined up as we inch closer. Thanks for staying with us. You're going to see a race, and you're going to see quite a race over 43 laps to determine who's going to win this Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Want to say hi to everybody who's watching in upstate New York. It's a big day tomorrow. The NASCAR Cup Series is at Watkins Glen. A wild regular season could get even more wild. We'll find out tomorrow, 3 Eastern, right here on USA. Remember, it's radio style. Radio style.
I remember when you did that, you brought the action a few years ago.
It was fun. That was the first time we tried it. That was in 2017. It was a lot of fun. And remember, Mike Rockenfeller, the 24 Hours of Le Mans winner, is in the race. Kimi Räikkönen, Formula One world champion, amongst the regulars. And it's getting very tight as the regular season winds down. The playoffs are literally just around the corner. So, how about that Iowa weekend, that incredible high-V doubleheader? Let's go back and relive some more magical moments.
Let's go from Iowa.
Jimmy Johnson is crushing it right now. He's going to have to be careful with moves like that.
That was nice. You having fun? Yeah, it's a blast. I think we come back tomorrow and do it again. Man, I can do a lot more of this.
This is the best run of Jimmy Johnson's IndyCar career.
Outside, just one.
Jimmy Johnson going at it again.
Nice job, Dan. Coming to the checkers, 5th place. Nice job, man. That was awesome. Great weekend. Hell yes, guys. What an awesome couple of days. Thank you so much.
And Jimmy certainly thrilled us with a lot of daring moves and an impressive weekend there in Iowa. So let's start there. How big was that for you, just as you continue to progress and learn how to drive these Indy cars, to just have a solid weekend in 2 days in a row of just really good learning and really good finishes?
Yeah, I think the test session that I had there obviously kind of set the stage for me. Then the practice sessions, 2 races, and it just gave me time to adapt, to get used to that track. And then oddly enough, Iowa drove a lot like one of the NASCAR tracks that I'm used to running on, which is Bristol. I know they look nothing alike, but the line, the off-throttle time, the way you use the on-throttle portion of the corner was all very similar. So very, very proud of the effort that we had there. Still trying to learn this track. I wish that we could have tested here. I think that would have helped me a bunch. But as the race has gone on, I've really kind of found myself in a competitive spot, and we're sitting here in a decent spot. I have to pit again, but excited to get back racing and hopefully can finish up there in the teens somewhere nice.
What have you been working on in race just to try to have a better understanding of what's been the challenges for you?
By myself, I've really struggled with the entry to turn 3 and the commitment level needed over there. I've been able to work into that with some adjustments that we made to the car. And then in the race itself, it's really just been about how you work traffic. And it's just amazing the wash that you have and the understeer that you pick up. And unlike Iowa, I haven't been able to push the lane out far enough. I have a few friends out there helping me push it out some, but if we could push it out further and get a second lane going, that would be really nice.
Well, and I thought that was interesting too. You said that earlier this weekend, that the tracks where there are second lanes where you can move around, that kind of lends itself more to what you're used to and what you're accustomed to, kind of being able to self-medicate your race car and go where it wants to go to make it work, right?
Yeah, Cup cars, the tracks we could always dust them off and always had multiple lanes to run on. These cars have aero implications following, and it's kind of the opposite of a NASCAR vehicle. In a Cup car, you'd lose the back of the car. In an Indy car, you lose the front. So just my instincts and how I approach things, it just takes me a while to get in that rhythm. And I'm finally getting there now, but unfortunately, there's only 40-something laps left, and I'm a lap down. But I think we're going to have a great finish. I'm looking forward to going back to green. I want to thank everyone at Carvana, American Legion, for their support, and a quick hello to my family back at home.
Thanks, Jimmy. Kevin, let's see if we can get some more guys to work this high lane in for Jimmy later.
So Jimmy wants to see the high line. Jimmy's your buddy. You knew him before he got here to IndyCar. Is he going to have some friends go up and take the high line? We'll restart things here in a few minutes.
Well, the restart was pretty exciting. The one restart we had, it worked. You know, they swept, and I think the practice where we ran the high line, all 9 cars ran, it worked, it developed, it opened up. So, I'm back there, so I need to make something happen. So I might have a friend.
Well, 16th a lap down. Normally you'd say, oh, we're just trying to finish the race. I'm not sure that's the case here tonight. I think a lot of things are going to happen. How much farther forward can you move, considering people pitted at different times and so forth?
I mean, you're right. Yes, 43 laps to go. There could be another pit stops, another pit stop to be on fresh tires at the end and make things happen on the high lane, like you said. So I've seen this in Iowa in the past where someone pits and comes back from 12 to finish in the top 5. So who knows what we could do, but I'm hoping for a lot of action.
I don't want a big picture assessment of where things are at since we have a little extra time. We've talked about this off camera. The process of joining a new team, this team expanding, where are things at, and what's your level of optimism as you build this year towards next season?
The potential is huge, and that's what makes me smile so much. There's great people. I really enjoy everybody on the team, and it's about executing. And honestly, it's so competitive right now that you have to execute every single details of the races, of the race weekends, and that's 3 days, right? So we've just not been able to do it so far. That's what we're going to focus on this winter. Come back next year and hopefully give it a good run for the championship.
Thanks, Simon. Right behind you, we're going to talk to your bosses here for just a moment as well. Jim Meyer, we talked to on Peacock a couple of days ago. So we can make Mike do the talking this time. Come over, Mike Shank, who's won the Rolex 24s, won the Indianapolis 500. He's done just about everything in motorsport. So we've talked a little bit. I think this is significant news that Helio Castroneves is going to be back in IndyCar full-time, teaming with Simon Pagenaud again next year. Can you explain? We know how good he is on the racetrack, but this is a sport that's more about just the results on the racetrack. What has Helio done for your organization?
Well, I mean, obviously the 500 changed Jim and our life, our team's life, and we don't want anyone else to win that 5th one. We want them to do it with us, and that's number 1 for us. Number 2 is taking care of the people that make this happen for us. AutoNation, SiriusXM, Arctic Wolf, Clopay Doors, all these folks, Polly. We have so many people that support kind of the vision, which is we take care of our people. There's nobody better than Helio and Simon, for that matter, dealing with things at trade shows and at dinners and at track tours and all kinds of stuff. And that's invaluable for he and I to make this a real business, because we don't do this for fun. We do this not to lose money and to try to win races. We don't always win, obviously, but we're still building the team. These guys believe in that vision that he and I have worked on for so long, and we just keep working on it.
And it's been a relationship with Jim Meyer that started, about 5 or 6 years ago and has led to bigger and better things. And Jim, I want you to explain how you got into IndyCar racing. I know you moved to Indianapolis a while back, and I'm not sure that you were a race fan, but you've fallen in love with it, and here you are. You've won an Indianapolis 500 now as a co-owner.
Yeah, it's great. The first IndyCar race I actually went to was in 1980 with my father-in-law, because he convinced me to get tickets for it, and I thought this is going to be the biggest waste of a day. And I got close to it and then really just fell in love with it as a sport, and winning the 500 really, for Mike and I, just for me, it's changed. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of neat things in my life. Winning the Indianapolis 500 is right at the top. Right.
Well, and you can speak from both sides of it. You came in with SiriusXM satellite radio, what it does for partners, what motorsports can allow beyond just a sticker on a race car.
Yeah, and it's great when the partners engage and figure out how to use it. We can do a lot of entertaining and things like that, but where it really works is when the partners build either their brands into the sport and use it to market to people, Clopay Doors is a great example of, garage doors, and they have kiosks at most of the races, and SiriusXM. I can tell you where I got the idea, to be honest with you, to start this is sitting up in Stand E, watching a race about 8 or 9 years ago and talking to people, and I realized how many of them were SiriusXM subscribers, and hey, wait a minute, this really makes sense for us. And so AutoNation's just been terrific for us. Now we have Arctic Wolf. Arctic Wolf's a great example of a sponsor who engages at every race and uses the whole spectrum of tools that we have. So yeah, it needs both sides to work.
Thanks, Jim. It's great to have you guys here. Jim Meyer and Michael Shank, winners of the Indianapolis 500, and so much more and bigger and better things coming.
They come from 2 totally different backgrounds, but they make a tremendous couple as far as a power business couple, so to speak. Come from different backgrounds, different approaches with the same goal, which has been very good. These two have the same goal as well, these very good friends from within Team Penske. You've seen their series on YouTube, Bus Bros. Well, they both want to win equally as bad as each other. And as they sit right now, McLaughlin is first over Newgarden. But there's 43 laps left to arm wrestle over that. And we understand that at the top of the hour is the goal to go racing. And a little bit of fun here. Kyle Kirkwood locking one of his fellow competitors in. Oh boy. Oh, Felix Rosenquist. The countdown is on to the resumption of the Bommarito Automotive Group 500 here at Worldwide Technology Raceway in St. Louis. And there is the man who is part of this championship 7. That is Scott Dixon. And 7 is the championship that he is chasing.
Just the beginning of what will happen with Scott Dixon's career. He is the champion. He is the winner of the 92nd Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Scott Dixon is a 6-time IndyCar champion.
I never doubted it, not with you guys. What a team.
Scott Dixon wins. He now has 2nd on the all-time wins list with career win 53.
I can't believe we did that. Fantastic.
And that 53rd win at Nashville just a couple weeks ago has got Scott Dixon right back into the thick of the championship fight. And it seems like every year when the time comes to shine, and here you guys are. So the last 5 races for you guys have been a really good stretch. A couple wins in there, made up a lot of points on Will. What's been the difference? Has things just clicked, or what do you attribute to the success you guys have had lately?
I think it's always hard to put, a finger on it. I think it's always hundreds of details, right, getting it right, and sometimes you need a little bit of luck to fly your way, and then be in the position to make the most of it. But yeah, things have flowed a little bit better. Tonight, I would say it's kind of been the opposite of that. It's just been a bit frustrating. Anything we kind of tried to do, we'd kind of get stuck out of sequence, and then one of the stops there, which was a freebie, we didn't take, and I think there was a bit of confusion on that as well. So. Yeah, bit of a blah night. It's been a bit strange.
I don't think you're the only one who's had one of those nights. So you run 8th right now on this restart when we go back green. What is your mentality given where you're at in the points? How do you approach this? How aggressive are you tonight and these next 2 weeks or these next 2 races?
We still got to be aggressive. I think it's different if you're leading a championship or even in that point. I think even looking at Will's situation, you got to be careful not to give up too much too quickly. But we got to make the most of it. Kind of where we are right now, we're kind of at the back of the pack, unfortunately. So we have probably 10 or 15 cars that are a lap down in between us. So we're in a bit of a weird situation where, even if we come in, we take tires, we can be super aggressive, it's going to be, 10 cars to pass before we even get to ones that, we're racing against. So, yeah, it's frustrating for the team. I think we had 3 great shots here tonight, with the 8, 9, and the 10, and we kind of all did the same thing, and we're kind of right in the middle of the pack. So, hopefully we can gain a little bit tonight, and, still a lot of laps to go. It's going to be pretty exciting, I think, for everybody, and hopefully it's a smooth one for the PNC Bank number 9.
Yeah, should be fun for sure. Thanks, Scott.
And that's the way the NTT IndyCar Series works. Sometimes it comes your way, like it did in Nashville 2 weeks ago for Scott Dixon and the PNC Bank crew. And other times, try as you might, it's a little more difficult, right, Hinch, to get to where you think you should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a challenge, especially in these conditions. And to Scott's point, it's not just the cars necessarily lining up on track as they are in the race order. Lap cars are going to be in the middle of it, so you want to push and get up there, but if you use too much of your tire too early, Townsend, are you going to have enough when you actually get to the cars for position?
Well, I think where it's going to get really interesting is if a late yellow comes, and those lap cars will be forced to get out of the way if it's inside 20 to go, and guys like Scott Dixon that are on the tail end of the lead lap can easily pit for stickers, nothing to lose, and then just flat fire it off, throw caution to the wind. Safety third, I think I heard about 4 hours ago when this race started. Your words of wisdom for racing here at Gateway, and who knows what's possible. That's where it gets really exciting. But if anybody knows how to work his way with high percentage decisions through difficult situations, it's Scott Dixon. It's that reason why he is a 6-time champion.
I think back to, I want to say it was Iowa 2019 maybe, very average day by Scott Dixon standards, sort of what's happening today. He's floating around the 10th place, plus or minus a few, late caution, good strategy call, gets the tires, drove his way up onto the podium. Like you said, if anyone could do it, it's that guy.
So Hinch, you mentioned here, Worldwide Technology Raceway 2019. How about Worldwide Technology Raceway 2021? Let's take a look in the rearview mirror. We'll see you soon. We give you the closing 30-plus laps of last year's race. So that was last year. This is now. This is live, and Joseph Newgarden with his helmet and hands device on. Like all the other drivers, they will be called to their cars in a matter of minutes. Pato Award has already climbed aboard, so we are getting very close to the resumption of this Bommarito Automotive Group 500, and Newgarden will be trying to do exactly what he did here last year, and that would be 4 wins at this circuit. This man on screen, Scott McLaughlin, his teammate and good buddy, is going to try and stop him, because McLaughlin, as they stand, is in the lead. It's all to play for over 43 laps. How are the track conditions going to be after all of that rain and all of the drying and all of the jet drying?
It's going to be tricky. There's no doubt about it. And the thing is, nobody actually knows what it's going to be. So all these drivers, they're going to plug back into these race cars. The last laps they did on the track, it's going to feel totally different. The air temp's down. The sun's totally gone. It's rained. It's dried. Everything's changed.
Listen, I've been doing this long enough, Hinch. It's down to 85-degree track temperature. The track is perfectly clean. Max grip will be available. It's not rubbered in, but the tires are going to be perfect for these conditions. Let's get it on. It's Saturday night, got 43 laps to go, and many drivers throwing caution to the wind here are going to go for their best result potentially of the season, because some have nothing to lose at this point.
A fiery Saturday night short track race? Does that sound familiar?
Saturday night short track racing at its finest. And if any of these drivers were watching our highlights during the rain delay, they would have seen Felix Rosenqvist on the initial start take it up to lane 3, Townsend. So now it's cleaner than it's ever been. I think you might see 1 or 2 more drivers try it.
And that's when the track temp was up closer to 100 degrees. So 15 degrees of track temp makes a lot of difference. It helps out those Firestones a lot. It allows them to last longer too, potentially making it racy all the way to the finish. That's what we've been wanting to see. Scott McLaughlin and the rest of the IndyCar drivers hopping into the cockpit, strapping in.
Remember what Pato Award said. Award sits 3rd in this race. He said 5th or 6th in the race or the championship, doesn't matter. It's win or nothing. I'm going to have to go for it. Despite the rain, despite the lightning and this more than 2-hour red flag, there are a lot of hardy and loyal IndyCar fans who have stuck around here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and we thank you, because you're in for something special over these closing 43 laps. And so too are the top 7, the championship 7. There's the point spread as they sit right now before the resumption of this race. It is all to play for. 43 laps here, and then 2 more road races. One in Portland International in 2 weeks' time. The following week at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. It is going to be a thrilling end to this year's NTT IndyCar Series Championship. Let's walk you through the race with Will Power and Marcus Ericsson on the front row. Some people like Rinus VeeKay had to swerve, and they tagged the wall. It was scrappy at the back, but up front, Felix Rosenqvist was storming.
And this is the last time we had a perfectly clean track at the start. Rosenqvist making the most of it, up 13 positions in just a few laps. First caution came at lap 145.
Yeah, that was thanks to Jack Harvey in the number 45 high V machine getting up into the gray there, just barely getting the wall, but enough to do damage to the right rear. That would put him to pit lane for repairs.
And then strategy started to come into play, Diff, with weather approaching. Teams were starting to place their bets. This was Joseph Newgarden coming in.
I think they thought Power was going to come in. He did not. Newgarden did. Let's scoot ahead to lap 158. How's this for a move for the lead?
Pato Award stayed out with Will Power, but made a brilliant move on the outside to take the lead, but it wasn't for long, because Joseph Newgarden on fresh tires was coming, T-Bell.
Yeah, he likes to plant his flag on short ovals and say, this is my kind of racetrack. He did it at Iowa, was so dominant there, showing it again tonight. And then lap 206, McLaughlin running 1-2 with Newgarden. McLaughlin the first to come to pit lane. Newgarden would come the very next lap.
And Newgarden got balked a little by Christian Lundgaard. It wasn't intentional from the Danish driver's standpoint, but it did affect Newgarden. And look, here comes his teammate in the red, white, and black Odyssey battery Chevrolet, and Hinch, that was enough to get McLaughlin out in front until the red flag came out.
Rain started to fall. It started with a caution period of about 3 laps, and then the red flag came out. All cars to pit lane, and the hard work got started to get the track dried, and your leaders right here, they're friends, they're teammates, and they're in command of this race right now as we get ready to get back racing.
So the drivers are in their respective Indy cars, 25 of the 26, that is. Unfortunately, Rinus VeeKay has been the only retirement of this race, and it kind of, the way the race began for the young Dutch driver was emblematic of the way the rest of it would go. All right, let's join the guys on pit lane. Let's start with Kevin Lee. Kevo?
So as I've been kind of walking around chatting with drivers who are anxious to get back in the car, the general theme and consensus is buckle up. It's going to be really wild here with extra downforce, with cooler conditions, the darkness, a clean track, some people really antsy to get a win, and a lot of people on different tire life. You look at the leaders up front, their tires are pretty fresh, so Scott McLaughlin and Joseph Newgarden are going to be able to get after it, but then after that you have some maybe even coming in to make a stop here because they're going to have to save a little bit of fuel if it somehow went green all the way. And let's go a little further back, and they've got some lap traffic to get to, but back here is David Malukas, the rookie, who is 5th in this race right now. He had just pitted before the caution, so those Firestones are very fresh. He and Takuma Sato might be moving forward, Dylan.
And Kevin, somebody else who might be moving forward is Pato O'Ward, who runs 3rd right now. Remember what he told us during the red flag: 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, doesn't really matter. It's all about wins at this point. That's what team strategist Taylor Kyle told me too before the race. He said, hey, we're here to win. Podiums, that's really what we need. 4th, 5th, 6th in the race, that doesn't do anything for us. So Pato's a guy, we've seen it already in this race. He's going to be aggressive. He has nothing to lose. That's been their mantra. So they're going to go for it here now. They've got 4 lap cars in between he and the top 2, the 2 Penske cars up front. So he'll have to get around those 2 or those 4 lap cars first before we can get to the top 2. But if he's able to do that quickly and efficiently, then it's game on from there for Pato running 3rd.
It makes you excited with what is ahead, for sure. Big moves, all on the line. Championship positions at stake here over 43 laps. And it went for so long earlier today, caution-free. It was a predominantly green race, and then we've had this more than 2-hour stoppage. And here is race leader Scott McLaughlin getting ready to resume, getting ready to go at it. They're going to be given the signal here any second now to fire these cars up.
Yeah, and such a difficult position for a driver in Scott's shoes, to be having led the race, kind of had it under control. He had his teammate behind him, Joseph Newgarden, after that pit cycle, who has been fast, but Scott's been just as quick, and now he's got to go through a restart. You don't know the track conditions. You don't know how the air temperature, track temperature has changed the balance of your car. You can't make any adjustments to the race car under these red flag conditions, Townsend. So you're just going out with whatever you came in with, very different conditions.
Yeah, but you get to set the pace. You get to try to get the jump on the field, build maybe a 2 to 3 car length gap if you can time it right on the start, and give yourself a little buffer to experiment into turn 1. But I'm not worried about McLaughlin. This guy has led so many races in his career. He's comfortable at the front. He's got one of the fastest cars in the field diff. He's good on fuel. Just has to clean up his tires and fire off strong. The question I think will come later on with 43 to go when they catch lap cars as engines are refired.
But that's one thing we've said about McLaughlin time and time again. Where he's best is out front. It's where he's most comfortable. He spent most of his V8 supercar career at the front of the field, leading races and winning races. And every time he finds himself up here in this position, that's when I think we see the best out of Scotty Mack. So this could be his first oval victory tonight.
Are we in for another finish like we saw in Texas in March? Let's relive it. Came down to the final corner on the final lap. Traffic ahead, as the boys said, is a key factor. And Newgarden whisks around the outside of McLaughlin at the most appropriate time.
And Newgarden told us after, listen, it was simple. I was either going to wreck or I was going to win. I put it all on the table in the final corner, and it paid off in more ways than one. Texas trophy and Penske cash.
Are we in for another finish like that here under the lights in St. Louis?
Oh, no.
Oh, Newgarden's car has stalled.
We talked about this, Townsend, about the fear of the engineers.
There's 2 cars that aren't rolling. Alexander Rossi still sits there.
Alexander Rossi may be doing this intentionally. He is 19 laps down. He might be opting to start from the back of the field.
I think Dalton Kellett has an issue too. And you can hear Tim Cindric telling him, hey, we've got to get it started before the cars come around. Pace car right now on the backstretch heading into turn 3, and there's a lot of cars.
Devlin DeFrancesco hasn't started. We see Jack Harvey still sitting there. Harvey's 13 laps down, so again, they could be doing this intentionally.
Luckily, Newgarden up underway. He should be able to resume his spot at the front of the grid behind McLaughlin.
That's a heart in the throw moment right
there.
there.
Yeah. Is Tim Cindric, team president at Team Penske. It's the voice you always hear on the radio as far as Joseph Newgarden is concerned. So a little nervous moment. Here's Dalton Kellett in the K-Line Insulators Chevy for AJ Foyt Racing. He needs to get refired as well, and does, and gets going.
Just in time. Pace car just at start finish right now. So Dalton Kellett underway. There goes Rossi.
And this is what the fans are being rewarded for hanging around for more than 2 hours during this stoppage to see the cars back on track and getting ready for what will be approximately a 40-lap shootout.
So you see the running order on the left-hand side, but that is not the order that they run on track right now. It is McLaughlin and Newgarden, but then it's Colton Herta, the black and yellow Gainbridge car. He is 1 lap down.
Christian Lundgaard, Connor Daly, and then Pato O'Ward.
2 laps down. Daly is 7 laps down. So there's a bunch of lap cars in the mix, and be interesting to see how aggressively they tried to hold the other lead lap cars behind here.
Yeah, and Will Power is right behind the number 5 Pato O'Ward, running in 4th place. So he's got the car he needs to attack right in front of him, where Pato's got to worry about the lap traffic before he can get to the back of Joseph Newgarden. So a couple different mindsets from these drivers heading into this restart for sure.
For those of you new to IndyCar racing, tire warmers are not allowed in this series, so that's why you're seeing a lot of swerving and weaving and surging back and forth just to try and build as much heat into these Firestone tires as quickly as possible after sitting cold for more than 2 hours.
Somebody I'll be keen to watch here on this restart is this guy right here, Graham Rahal. He has the freshest tires of anybody in the field. As he gets temperature into his Firestones, he'll be looking for any open lane, whether that's low, middle, high. He has the grip and the experience to pull it off.
And he has the track record of showing us some pretty brave moves around the outside as well. Not afraid to take that high line. How will that all work out? Look at Marcus Ericsson's team. They're laid out, ready for one of the championship contenders to make a stop.
I wonder if they're the only ones that take this opportunity. I see a couple pit crews set up on pit lane. A few different groups thinking that now's a good time to come in for fresh tires.
Will Powers guys still behind the wall. Newgarden behind the wall still.
Yeah, I'm not coming in if I'm in the top 3, but
I like the call from Ericsson. He's currently 7th. There are only 10 cars on the lead lap according to time and scoring right now. So with 40 to go,
and
full ridge,
40's a good chunk of time.
That's 2/3 of the stint.
Exactly.
Now, in order to pull that off, you're going to have to make lots of passes because you're going to have a lot of lap cars to contend with.
But this is essentially the best track conditions to do that. There's way less marbles than there were when that yellow flag fell. You can see they're all the way up against the wall now. Still an easy 2-lane. Dixon's in, Pelot's in. Looks like all the Ganassi cars are going to come to pit lane.
Kyle Kirkwood's in. Dylan Welsh first up, take it away.
Well, it's kind of a use them if you got them mentality down here. A lot of these teams have got a set of stickers left, so you may as well use them and try something here. There's only 10 cars on the lead lap, so Ericsson's in, they'll take 4. Dixon's crew laid out the last minute. They were debating it all the way until Ericsson peeled off in front of him. Dixon opted to come in, get 4 sticker Firestone tires as well. Kevin.
And Alex Pelot told us about 45 minutes ago, we're definitely coming in. It's an easy decision. We're last on the lead lap, and we aren't sure if we're going to be able to make it. So we get Speedway fuel, fresh Firestones. So this is going to be interesting as we finish this one off.
Lightning fast stops from the Chip Ganassi Racing Squad, all in the low 6 seconds there. Not needing a full fuel, obviously, just for the tires there and a little splash.
I'll tell you who that helps is Graham Rahal. It gets a couple cars out of the way for Rahal. Pelot and Ericsson and Dixon go back. Rahal up to 7th now, behind Takuma Sato, although Sato is a few cars ahead because of the lap cars in the mix.
There is Graham in that iPacket, that bright green Honda. Check this out on the way into pit lane. Felix Rosenqvist coming up on the back of fellow Swedish driver Marcus Ericsson. That was tight. Was there a little contact there?
I think he just came up short. You see a big lockup in the left front there, right here. Just missed it because Marcus is the first box there. He's got to slow down a little more. Felix not anticipating that. That could have been a lot worse for both of those drivers.
1 to go when they come across the line this time by. So it's going to be a 36-lap shootout to decide this Bommarito Automotive Group 500.
Saw Daly, Harvey, and Rossi all several laps down get out of the way for those cars that just pitted, so that's a nice help.
Yeah, all three of them had different issues that took them to pit lane for repairs, so they're just going to the back of the queue. But up front, it's all Scott McLaughlin in the thirsty threes.
And an eclectic mix of who is where on fuel and tires and where they are in the championship, where they are, whether they're on the lead lap or a lap down. It's a mixed bag here on this track at Worldwide Technology Raceway. This could be a critical point of the season for one of the Championship 7. Scott McLaughlin brings his field back to green.
A nice jump from Scott McLaughlin early in the restart zone, 3 wide behind. He's going to easily lead into turn 1.
Power around the outside. Look at Will Power in that black and red Verizon Chevy.
David Malukas and Takuma Sato, the Dale Coyne cars on fresh tires with a big move, but it's Newgarden to the front.
Change of the lead at the front between the teammates. The 3-time winner wants this one bad.
Not wasting any time, but now Scott McLaughlin hot in the wheel tracks of Joseph Newgarden. Looks to the inside, not close enough to make it happen this time.
McLaughlin knows what a short track specialist his teammate is, and just to be able to run with him, he said, is pretty cool. He'd like to beat him. This is going to be an arm wrestle for 34 and a half more laps.
They may be the thirsty threes, but Newgarden said, hey, check out the tasty twos.
I mean, you know, Scotty Mack wants revenge for that last lap, last corner pass in Texas that relegated him to second place. But let's take a look at that start.
Look at what a good job Newgarden did to get clean air to the high side and stay close enough and come off at turn 2 with just a monster run.
I would have expected more of a defense from Scott McLaughlin there. I would have thought he'd have cut down to the inside of the racetrack, forced Joseph to go the long ways. We're 3 wide into 3.
Oh boy, look out. That's Callum Ilott on the high side of Graham Rahal. We climb on board with Felix Rosenqvist. There's Jimmy Johnson.
And we're seeing new tires, lap cars, all kinds of stuff mixed up in this group right here as Graham Rahal is trying to navigate his way through it. He's side by side with Palou.
And that is for position. Jimmy Johnson and Felix Rosenqvist, they're both a lap down, running 15th and 16th right now. You see Graham Rahal working on Palou. That's for 9th
position, yeah. Johnson, Rosenqvist, they're a little further back. They're in 15th and 16th.
For 1, you're good. All good.
Purple 1 you see on the dashboard there. That's a fuel mixture. I think that's full rich. That's go get them.
And right before the red flag, well, after the red flag, David Malukas said, hey, I want to restart because I was catching Will Power, and he wasn't kidding. David Malukas is repeating that performance all over the back of the number 12 Verizon car. Malukas, the rookie, having his best run in his IndyCar career.
Look at him, get power.
Great run off of 2. He's got about 20 laps, newer tires. He's going to go to the high side in 3 and 4. Can he make it stick?
That's a clean racetrack with max grip. Malukas there, but Will Power's fighting him back. He's not going to give it up to him.
This is awesome, wheel to wheel. A veteran and the rookie. And they got traffic ahead. Malukas hangs tough and executes the pass.
Malukas using Pagano as a pick there, Hinch.
Yeah, the traffic went down to the bottom lane. That took the air off of Will Power. Some contact, I think, behind.
Between Sato and Power.
Sato got around Will Power. He had to lift, lost that momentum. We talked about this earlier. Now Marcus Ericsson has got a sniff of the 12.
Look at Malukas charging through lap cars now, putting Pagano behind him.
He's only half a second behind Pato Award. This kid could get on the podium.
He was not. He was very, very decisive when he said that he wanted to get this restart going, and this is why, guys. He's dispensed the power, and now he's hot on the heels of Pato Award.
And Malukas has just better rubber available here to use. Here's the move between Sato and Power. Sato moving up a little too early, was not clear of Will Power. Watch this, comes right across his bow.
Oh, that could have been ugly.
That could have been real bad.
Could have been really bad.
I mean, Sato's lucky the tire didn't get cut. Never mind whatever damage may have come onto the red and black Verizon Chevy.
Here comes Ericsson as well, and Ericsson could make life very difficult for Will Power because points as they run, Newgarden in the lead is only 3 behind his teammate.
And it shouldn't be hard for Ericsson. Remember, he pitted right before the green.
How this championship is fluctuating just in a matter of 10 laps.
Now remember when Joseph got to the lead the first time, he pulled out a 7-second gap before he hit traffic, and then McLaughlin was able to close that back up to under 2 seconds. Well, guys, he's got a little bit of a margin now, nowhere near that, only half a second, and Joseph Newgarden is only about an eighth of a racetrack away from catching the back of this field.
3 or 4 more laps, they will be in lap traffic. It's Jack Harvey and Connor Daly, the next 2 cars up the track in front of Joseph Newgarden. That's the battle of the lead. There's the battle for third, and Malukas has such a great shot tonight. He's in really good shape.
It wasn't that long ago that we were calling Pato O'Ward a rookie. Last year he was a championship contender all the way until the final race. Now here's this 20-year-old from Chicago racing for Dale Coyne Racing with HMD Motorsports, and he's putting pressure on the Arrow McLaren SP.
He's trying to break the streak for Pato O'Ward of podiums here. 3 times Pato has raced in IndyCar and Gateway. 3 times he's been on the podium, but David Malukas really wants to get that career best finish and that first career podium here today.
He has methodically taken his time in his first IndyCar season. Nothing too crazy, nothing too flashy. He is very solid, but this is the drive of his life.
In between the lead duo and the battle for third is Colton Herta, who's the first car 1 lap down. Herta's trying to hold on there in case the yellow does come out. He can get that lap back, tag on to the tail end of the lead lap.
Malukas continues to work the back of Pato O'Ward, searching for some clean air, studying the lines. You see he gets clean air down low. Pato runs high. Colton Herta, the lap car in front of O'Ward, and here comes Malukas. Does he go for it now?
High side,
Clear,
switch back.
Oh, a little loose on turn-in in the dirty air.
Big loose on turn-in, but barely affected him. I don't think he lost more than half a car length because of that. This kid is fearless right now.
Absolutely fearless.
Keep working on him.
Keep working on him is the call for Malukas, and again it wiggles. Up front, look at the gap between Joseph Newgarden as he goes by Harvey, and then so too does McLaughlin. 22 laps to go.
Gentlemanly move from Jack Harvey there to stay out of the battle for the lead here, as he is multiple laps down. But guys, this is far from over. A lot of action playing out here.
A little further back, Marcus Ericsson hasn't been able to make as big a dent on Will Power as he had hoped. Takuma Sato runs in the top 5, Dixon 8th, Palou 9th, Ray Hall in 10.
Yeah, again, Jack doing a great job staying out of the way of these two that are battling hard. Didn't hold up Pato O'Ward and give David Malukas an opportunity to pounce.
And for Pato O'Ward, he's got to figure out what to do with Colton Herta, because Colton is on pretty fresh tires as well. So O'Ward holding down that third position, but behind him is a car on the lead lap, Malukas, with better tires. In front of him is a car a lap down on better tires. So O'Ward's stuck right now. Let's listen to some radio.
If we can't get Herta, we need 3.75 to the end. 3.75 to the end.
And if that wasn't bad enough.
I can't get Herta. All right, copy. Give us 3.75. Go grade 2. 3.75. It's just a little bit more than what you're getting.
I can't pass the car in front of me. Oh, and by the way, dude, you got to save fuel to get to the end.
You got to save fuel, and the guy behind you has 20 lap newer tires, so good luck with that.
And all the fuel he needs, Malukas does.
But look at the points as they run now. That championship gap down to almost nothing.
Connor Daly gets out of the way, James. So Newgarden continues with that 3-point gap to Will Power. And looking at the championships, it runs down all the way down to Marcus Ericsson, just 17 points back. So the top 4 really tight.
18 laps to go. It's Team Penske. 1, 2. With Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin, Arrow McLaren SP's Pato O'Ward, and Dale Coyne Racing's David Malukas and Takuma Sato in the top 5. The 2-hour wait was worth it. The rain and the lightning far from gone, and David Malukas is anything but gone. Here he comes.
+1 with a run.
Pato O'Ward left him a ton of clean air, and Malukas is taking advantage of that with a great run goes off into turn 3, and now Malukas can put his head down and go after his first race win.
And that was the call on the radio. Well done. Now go get the next one. The next one just so happens to be Scott McLaughlin. Kevin.
And this is a place that this young man knows pretty well. He swept both Indy Lights races last year, remember, and only the rookies have tested here this year. Malukas was here last week. He told me it was fantastic. It gave him all kinds of confidence coming into this weekend. He felt like he was going to have a chance to be a factor. We'll find out whether he really thought he had a chance to be on the podium, but Malukas is still charging.
We just saw Dale Coyne, the team owner, co-team owner there. He told me at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the road course race recently, he said, this kid is great, but I'd just like a little more aggression out of him. We're seeing it tonight.
I'll tell you what was huge was that move he just made on Colton Herta. To clear Colton Herta, Malukas is now just behind McLaughlin and Newgarden. The only car in the middle there is Ed Carpenter, who is 4 laps down and should be pretty easy to get by.
Sato working on Pato O'Ward. That's for 4th.
Similar situation to his teammate David Malukas. Takuma Sato has much newer tires and all the fuel he wants compared to Pato O'Ward. So Pato just in damage control mode right now, trying to hang on to everything he can.
Malukas is within 2 seconds of Scott McLaughlin for second.
Oh.
And 14 laps left to go. Make it 13.
Carpenter lets him by. There is now nothing between David Malukas and Scott McLaughlin for second, as Newgarden continues to have clean air for about another 5 laps, and then he'll catch the back of Kyle Kirkwood, who's only a lap down. And James, I think Kirkwood will fight to stay in front of Newgarden.
I think everybody at the back there is fighting because they're all fighting for their own positions. A lot of cars just 1 lap down right now.
Malukas took half a second diff just out of those last 2 laps of the gap to McLaughlin. He's coming.
This is the beauty of IndyCar racing. Here's the might of McLaren up against Dale Coyne Racing with Rick Ware Racing. At the front, it's the might of Team Penske up against Dale Coyne Racing with HMD Motorsport. This is awesome.
And what's so impressive compared to David Malukas getting around Pato O'Ward with 20-lap newer tires, his tires are only about 6 laps newer than the Penske duo in front of him, and he is closing that gap, Townsend. It was 2.5 seconds 2 laps ago. Now it's a 1.5 seconds.
He's there. He's in the draft. David Malukas has the help of the draft down the straightaway as he goes into turn 3, and now he has time to study and wait a little bit. Only 11 laps left.
Keep it up. I think he can get both of them. 10 laps to go.
Oh, boy.
I was going to say, he's got time, but not that much. 10 laps goes pretty quick around Worldwide Technology Raceway.
What Malukas has to start thinking about is, will Joseph Newgarden catch the lap car of Kyle Kirkwood? Kirkwood's about 1,000 feet up the racetrack right now, and they might catch him right at the end. There's Kirkwood, the black car. There's Newgarden, the leader.
Keep it up. You're closing.
This is good, encouraging words for David Malukas. This is stuff that he could only have dreamed of, to be at the front of an IndyCar race fighting with Team Penske in his rookie season.
We talked about Pato O'Ward's podium streak here at Gateway. Well, David Malukas has one as well. 3 Indy Lights races here, a 3rd and 2 first. He might be adding an IndyCar podium to that.
The other thing that gets complicated for Scott McLaughlin here is that Newgarden only wants to go quick enough to keep McLaughlin behind him. He really doesn't want to catch Kyle Kirkwood, so he's almost backing McLaughlin up, and McLaughlin is vulnerable now from an attack on Malukas because Newgarden is really controlling the air in front and the air behind.
But 1.7 seconds faster that last lap, Joseph Newgarden was over Kyle Kirkwood, so that gap is diminishing very quickly, just like the one between the 18 of David Malukas and the 3 of Scott McLaughlin in front of him.
7 laps to go, that is all. And under the lights, welcome to the big time, David Malukas.
Harvey gets out of the way
and backs off to clear it for the next 2.
7 to go, and for sure they will come to the back of Kyle Kirkwood in about another lap and a half, and there's a bunch more cars to mix things up.
Try to set him up for a good exit off turn 2.
Set him up for the exit off turn 2.
Look at Malukas all the way down over the white line, trying to get that left front to bite just a little bit better in the dirty air. He's not close enough to get it done there. They'll go into turn 3. And 1 more lap, and it'll be all on because Newgarden's going to have to contend with lap traffic.
I mean, there's no doubt he is the quicker car right now, but Scott McLaughlin and that Penske machine are so solid as well. It's so tough to pass on this track in an equal car. But man, the way he closed that gap, Townsend, that was impressive.
Pato O'Ward has been able to keep Takuma Sato at bay. Will Power has been able to keep Marcus Ericsson at bay. Dixon, Palou, Rahal, they are the only cars on the lead lap. Malukas keeps lurking. He is there, hassling and hounding Scott McLaughlin.
Is this traffic in front of Joseph Newgarden going to afford Scott McLaughlin the same opportunity that it did Joseph Newgarden in Texas when the situation was reversed? Is Scott looking more forward to see how Joseph's affected by traffic or in his mirrors to protect against Malukas?
Malukas is trying everything right now. He's going really low in the middle of the corner, getting on that white line, trying to get the grip to get a run coming off the corner. He's got a little one coming now, Div.
So with 2.5 laps to go, the fight is on here for second. What's on the line? Well, Joseph Newgarden is looking at a 5th win this season. Malukas is up high. So a 5th win this year for Joseph Newgarden is on offering in just 2 laps' time. For Scott McLaughlin, it's back-to-back podiums. And for David Malukas, it would be his first career podium. What a night here at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
You gotta love the rookie. Not happy with just a podium. He knows that this is a rare chance in his young career to get even more.
He was headed for a good
Here
result.
he comes.
This is the closest he's been.
Got a good run on him.
The white
Let's go.
flag.
Let's do it now.
Does
Remember
Malukas
the
go for
outside.
it?
Yes.
It's risky, but he's going to go for it.
You gotta love that. Malukas to second.
Unbelievable move from David Malukas on the last lap to take second from Scott McLaughlin.
Jammed up, coming off a 4.
And he's not content with second. He might try and go for the win, but he's out of time. Joseph Newgarden wins back-to-back years at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Make that 4 for Newgarden here at this track in the PPG Chevy. Awesome performance. And that's his 5th win on the season.
Great job, guys. Thanks
Actually,
for
make
all
it
the
3
effort all
in a row
weekend.
here.
Thank you.
3 in a row at this track for Newgarden. 4 in total and 5 for this year. This man's on a mission and he's within 3 of the championship lead.
This is basically a win for the 18 team right here. Dale Coyne Racing with HMD. High fives and hugs all around. Very well deserved to the ladies and gentlemen there at Dale Coyne Racing. But no one was going to stop this man today.
Well, the wait was worth it, wasn't it? 2 hours and 9 minutes of red flag and pause. But it delivered us this. The Children's Miracle Network moment of the race. And it was when Newgarden got his teammate Scott McLaughlin. That was the pass for the lead and the win. Oh boy, with just 2 races to go in the 2022 NTT IndyCar Series, only 3 points separate the teammates Will Power and Joseph Newgarden. That's right, just 2 to go. And the top, where are the top 7 now? 58 points blanket the top 7, the championship 7. These are going to be 2 thrilling races coming up in 2 weeks' time at Portland International Raceway and the following week at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. But let's celebrate here at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Win number 5 for Newgarden, the first time he's done that as an IndyCar driver. 8 wins this year for Team Penske, number 25 in this young American's career, which he hopes is building towards a 3rd championship, and now within 3 points of the championship lead after starting the day in 4th. That's his wife Ashley, who just came in just a moment ago. In the PPG colors today, Joseph Newgarden has won again. The only driver that's won multiple times here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. I want to know your range of emotions. You had to be seething because you lost the lead through nothing you could control. What does it mean to you to get another chance to get to victory lane?
Well, all I can say is I think this 2-car crew has been very patient with me. You know, I've lost my cool probably a couple times and closed doors just out of frustration for us. You know, I feel like we've had small miscues timing-wise. That's not really anybody's fault. You know, just sometimes you're wrong time, wrong place. And I feel like it's been happening a lot this year. And it kind of happened again tonight. You know, I felt like we put ourselves in position. It's time to close. And, there was just a barrier that got in front of us again. But fortunately, we were able to get back out. I was so happy we could finish this race. You know, Scott McLaughlin, you know, he wanted to win too, and I love that about us. We have a good relationship. Obviously, each of us want to win, but he drove me super fair there at the end, and we had a good fight. And I can't thank PPG, Team Chevy enough. Team Chevy absolutely crushed it with fuel mileage, reliability, power, everything that you want from an engine. So it's a big night for everybody at Team Penske.
So how were you able to get to the front against a teammate having a strong night in an equally strong car on that final restart?
We just had to have a good start. You know, I knew Scott was going to be good at the end there, and he had a great restart. I just tried to work the high lane. You know, the high lane worked earlier for me, and I tried to do it again at the finish there, and, you know, we just had enough to get by him. But he was no slouch this weekend. He was very, very good. You know, Scott's done an amazing job. He's could have easily won this race himself. So you got to give him credit, but I'm glad we were able to come back out on top. But we're going to have a lot more races together, that guy and I.
2 to go, 3 back in the championship behind Will Power. Joseph Newgarden is going for title number 3 with a win here outside St. Louis. Dylan.
Kev, I feel like we have a secondary victory lane here with David Malukas. There's hugs, there's tears, there's people on the fence back here cheering for you. And you said you feel like you had a shot at Newgarden if you just try that outside lane sooner. Can you believe, was this even on your radar your rookie year to be battling the Penske cars for a win?
No, that's, yeah, I mean, we ended up getting around Award, and then we ended up getting past the lap car, and they said, you know, you see him in front, and I just see 2 Penskes, and I was like, oh my God, they're Penskes. And they were tough. They were tough to even like get any sort of suck to get close to them. And yeah, unfortunately, 2 laps to go, that's the one lap I decided to do the outside lane, and it worked so well. So if I would have done it a bit sooner, maybe we could have done something for Newgarden. But I mean, overall, that is a win for me, a win for the team. Man, they deserve that so much.
We all saw the emotion here. I know how special this was for you, but what does it mean for you to be the one to deliver a result like this to this group of people?
It means so much. You know, we started off this season a bit rough, and ever since the month of May, we've just been getting better and better, and we knew the podium was in sight. So it feels so good to finally get it. There's still 2 more races to go. It's only up from here.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
David Malukas, second tonight here at Gateway. That's his best career finish.
What a beautiful, honest thoughts. Oh my goodness, they're Penske's. Yes, David, you were in rarefied air, but you deserve to be.
2 American drivers at the top in America's heartland. 2 different stories, though. You look at Malukas, it's just raw talent, superstar in the making. And then with Newgarden, I mean, just the veteran, but steely. Don't forget, he was in the hospital just a few weeks ago. We weren't even sure if he'd finish the season. Newgarden getting it done once again. Let's go back down and check in with Kevin.
Well, Scott McLaughlin was very impressive in position to potentially be able to win this race. Your teammate gets you. Malukas is coming. Take me through how are you feeling? Because the positive is 3rd on an oval. Yeah. You continue to do well, but I know you want more, and it was maybe there.
Yeah, look, it is. You know, that's racing. It's oval racing. We love it. Want more of it. You know, I think Dave's move on the last lap, credit to him, man. He's a phenomenal young kid, and I hope he goes far, because I think the way he's been coming up through the ranks, getting the fast 6s, he's been great all year. So full credit to him.
Did you expect him to make that move? Did you think you were safe at that point in the race?
He was coming, and I was a little loose, so I got a bad run off 3 and 4, which I took the inside line, and he went around the outside. The grip was still there, and a hell of a move, man. So he's a good kid, and good points for us today. And obviously Battery Chevy felt awesome. Glad we put a show on for the fans. A lot of people stayed out tonight, so it's fantastic.
You know, big picture, another top 4 finish, 3rd on an oval. You're coming. Where are you at in year number 2, especially as you think about where you're going to be in year number 3?
Oh, we're going to the moon. No, I don't know. I'm feeling good. I'm loving IndyCar. Just really proud of everything. You know, last year was hard. There was times last year I'm like, oh, well, what am I doing here? You know, I'm running around the back, hanging out, and in a really fast race car. But I'm just really proud to be able to do it for the team. Pit stops have been unreal. I'm working with some really good people. I got some great teammates, and and the people from America have been really nice to me as well. So excited for what the future holds.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, you think of the progression that we saw from Scott McLaughlin from year 1 to year 2. I can only imagine what year 3 is going to look like. Another incredible run for this guy and the Penske organization. And again, can't say enough about David Malukas and that effort that he put forth. So it was exciting finish. Glad we managed to wait it out, and Mother Nature agreed with us.
Well, that's the thing. You're racing. You're on a knife's edge, and then you got to shut it down for over 2 hours, for 2 hours, 10 minutes basically, and then come back for a 36-lap blast. And this 20-year-old American who just barnstormed them at the end. And look at that from Bubba Wallace. Impressive run, David Malukas. Fun to watch. Thanks for that, Bubba. It sure was. It was fun for all of us, and congratulations to Dale Coyne Racing with HMD Motorsport and all of the staff. There's Dale.
So close.
Well done. He says, well done, kid. There's David's mum and dad.
What an amazing car.
Fantastic family moment. And this championship is alive with 2 to go. We'll see you at Portland International Raceway in 2 weeks' time. 2 road courses finish the season out. Laguna Seca, Portland, but Portland's up first. Can't wait for that. So everybody gets a weekend off to digest and kind of debrief what went down here in America's heartland. And then we'll crank it up to decide who will be champ with only 3 points separating Will Power and that man there. Congratulations, Joseph Newgarden.